It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Great panel for you this week. Wesley Faulkner is back. Stacey Higginbotham and Shoshana Weissman will talk about Apple, what they're going to do next after being spanked by the court. Google is now guilty twice of being a monopoly. What are the remedies? And we'll talk about AI. Is it costing too much to use? All that and more coming up next on Twit.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 1031, recorded Sunday, May 11th, 2025. My Three Friends. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news. I have gathered together three fine folk for our panel today. Stacey Higginbotham is back. It's great to see you, Stacey. She's a policy fellow at Consumer Reports. Of course, longtime host of This Week in Google. Are you sad now that This Week in Google is all about AI, intelligent machines? Would you like to come back?
I mean, could I talk about AI with you guys? Of course.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not sad. Well, how could you not be all about AI?
I know.
That's what
in fact,
everything's about.
We had a sponsor say, well, we want to buy the AI show. And I said, they're all AI shows. What are you talking about? That's all we talk about today. Wesley Faulkner is also here. Hello, Wes. Good to see you.
Hey, it's good to be
It's a nice coincidence. I don't think Benito knows that Stacey introduced me to you at South by Southwest about a decade ago.
Yes.
So
I actually wore this shirt in her honor.
Texas.
Oh!
Texas,
Nice.
baby.
Texas, yeehaw.
Both
Well,
of you are
seriously,
Texas refugees, right?
I was just about to ask where he is
Yeah.
now.
I'm in the mountains. So I'm in Roanoke, Virginia.
Nice.
Which is really great.
Isn't that where Sir Walter Raleigh went and, I don't know, invented tobacco? Something like that.
I mean, what's the great thing about being an American is that I don't need to know history. And so I have no clue.
Well, I just mangled it, so I'm not sure which is worse, not knowing it or mangling. Also, from our street, it's Shoshana Weissman, head of digital media at ourstreet.org. Hello, Shoshana.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Today with a marmot over her left shoulder. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a sloth.
No, I mean, like, marmots are just more part of like what I run into day to day in the mountains. Like, I haven't seen a sloth in one yet. So,
Okay. That seems fair. Do marmots move quickly?
Oh, yeah. They're really, really fast.
Okay.
It's part of what's so exciting about them. When you get like a really good view of a marmot, that's like special.
Oh, I see. We may not know history, but we learn a lot about nature here, which is very good. So Apple got a little bit spanked. We mentioned this last week. They have decided they're going to go to the upper court now and the district court and appeal it. But they also said we don't think there's a chance in hell that they're going to issue an injunction. So. And of course, Apple's not alone. Epic immediately said, we're putting Fortnite on the iPhone. Amazon added a buy it button right there on the Kindle, or get it, I think it says. Apple said, we're going to appeal it, but we don't expect an injunction. However, we're going to keep fighting it all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Well, yeah, because that's like cash money.
Cash money, baby.
You got to keep that coming in as long as you possibly can.
Yeah. It's there's a trend in the top stories of the week, which is that big tech in general is getting its spanking this week. Google now has lost 2 trials. The judge in the search trial is now Judge Mehta, not related to Facebook. Mehta is now hearing. This is an Amicus brief from Y Combinator. Is now hearing appeal briefs and testimony as he makes his determination. I think he has to the 25th to decide what the remedies should be. The government is saying not break up Google, but make them do one or all of 3 things: sell Chrome, give or license out its search data, to which Senator Pachari said, nah, you can't do that. That would be like telling Coca-Cola to give Pepsi their secret recipe. It'd put us out of business. Or stop paying $20 billion to Apple and hundreds of millions of dollars to Firefox and Samsung and others to guarantee their placement in the browser. The judge may say all three. He may say one of three. The Y Combinator, which is of course a startup incubator, says you got to do it, man, because we are already seeing Google is putting a kibosh on our business. Monopoly power, they wrote, gives a monopolist myriad ways to exclude competition. The remedy order will need to anticipate and prevent any retaliation against startups that intend to compete on its merits. They're saying, hey, we represent startups, and Google's bad for startups.
Can I, just one clarifying question. On the Chrome sale, is there also like a ban from them ever making another browser?
I think it was for 5 or 6 years, yeah.
So 5 or 6 years. Okay. But
which is isn't long, really. I mean, they would come back with a browser as soon as they could. There's also the issue of Chrome is an open source project called Chromium, admittedly mostly financed and staffed by Google, but how do you sell an open source project?
But would that also include Chrome OS? Because it's based off Chrome.
I guess it would. I don't know. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Judge Mehta is capable of making a decision on that one. Plus, if you tell Google, stop paying Apple and Mozilla and Samsung, that might have the wrong impact. It certainly would put Mozilla says put us out of business. Be the end of Firefox, which is, it's one of the only competing browser technologies. So that would be kind of a negative thing.
I mean, if I were Firefox, I would go to Perplexity and say you're going to buy, instead of buying Chrome.
The head of Mozilla said it put us out of business as well, Your Honor.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead, Stacey.
No, I was just going to say, well, you can't make a drastic change in the ecosystem like this without it having, what is it? You got to crush a few bad apples. I don't know. I'm just
you got to break some eggs to make an omelet.
Yes, and like I'm devastated about Firefox. We love, who doesn't love Mozilla?
I use it. I love it. We want it.
But I'm frustrated because they've talked about going after the ad monopoly, which to me is way more of an issue than search engine monopoly. But whatever. But
the monopoly in Chrome, paying people forcing them to, or paying them to use Chrome, all helps the ad monopoly too, right?
Oh, yes, it does.
It gives them information about you, us, me, and that's what helps them. But
who's using search engines today anyway? Are we still using search engines?
Isn't it? That's the funny thing about the whole thing is this is right when AI seems to be taking over anyway.
I mean, it's the default. So go, Shoshana. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. You go ahead. You were starting.
Oh, I was just saying it's the default thing that I use before I go to AI. At the moment, is for any random thing.
What do you use?
Just Google search.
Interesting.
I don't use AI search because it is a separate thing, and it is the memory is stickier, and so I'm always concerned. You could clear your cookies and log out of services, but when
that's a good
AI,
point.
It stores that as part of your profile, and it doesn't forget.
When it comes to privacy, AI, you're saying is worse.
Yes, exactly.
So when you're looking for ways to dispose of a dead body,
where are you going to go?
Not Eddy Perplexity or ChatGPT.
Eddy Q threw a monkey wrench into the search antitrust case when he testified, to the shock of everybody and the dismay of everybody, that Google searches. Eddy Q, by the way, is the senior vice president of services at Apple. Now, people pointed out that Eddy might have a dog in this hunt, right? Because Apple stands to perhaps lose $20 billion a year in its services bottom line. So, which is where it sticks it. So maybe Eddy Q had an ulterior motive, but he testified that Google searches declined in Safari for the very first time last quarter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. That like, I'm skeptical of a lot of the way that that American courts go after companies with antitrust, but even to the degree they do, the remedies I feel like sometimes just don't make sense. It's like when you want to break up stuff, it's like, okay, we'll break them up into what? Like what really can be done here to make it better? And then search is declining. Like I agree with Wesley that like I'm a little skeptical because like ChatGPT seems to remember a lot about me and that freaks me out a little bit. But more and more people are just using generally ChatGPT, other tools too, instead of search. So right as search is getting some really, really big competition, courts are like, oh, now let's do this now, like as this is happening, which is kind of, it feels kind of silly to me. Like this might not be the right timing for it. Plus there's like, you know, the way courts have gone after Meta for having Instagram, even though when they acquired it, it wasn't a sure bet. I just think that a lot of this doesn't always make a ton of sense. But I think with timing, it's just a slow process and it's always going to end up being a little bit behind that way. But it can have some weird consequences like now.
Just to underscore what you just said, Wesley.
Microsoft?
ChatGPT turned on a feature where it would remember everything you've ever said to it. So I just asked it, what do you know about me? Well, you're Leo Laporte. You're a podcaster with radio broadcasting background. You produce and monetize tech-focused podcasts. Know about podcast strategy, host red ads, direct sponsorships. You're currently selling your house, preferring for a move. You use Debian. Follow Formula One in the Super Bowl. You have a daughter named Abby who's interested in ethical AI development. You're an accelerationist in your views on AI, optimistic about its potential. Believe human-created content will gain value as AI-generated content proliferates. You do not drink alcohol, but are interested in whiskey as a gift for others. You enjoy historical topics, creative image generation, and technical deep dives into subject like Common Lisp. How does it know all this about me? These are all searches I've done. So to underscore your point, Wesley, it knows a lot about me.
You did not hit that last sentence where they were like, you maintain a high cognitive bar for interaction. I'm like, dude.
And prefer blunt directive responses.
Yeah.
What? I don't know about that. Is that true?
Yes.
I've had it like used it for responding to emails, and it will throw in something like that, and I was like, "Oh, don't say that." I don't
and I'm in a busy period of life.
Yeah.
There's some. So first of all, there's some surprising facts in here that it knows, which would certainly be of interest to advertisers. For instance, that I'm shopping for whiskey, but there's also some. It's also generating some judgments like I prefer blunt, direct responses. Where did it get that? I don't think I know. I told it that. I said, stop being so namby-pamby. Give me blunt, direct responses. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's different.
It was funny. I recently asked it what it knew about me, not just like facts, but what it could think from like what all the stuff it knows about me. And one of my favorite things was that it like was very aware I live a very idiosyncratic life. They're like, with all your dietary restrictions and all your hobbies, like they're a unique combo. So I bet you go about your life very differently than most people. And I was like, man, that's right.
That's right on.
Right.
Yeah. And something an advertiser would probably want to know too, right? So this is exact, just to your point, that this is very hard for a judge at this point to make a determination that is going to be effective in curbing Google's monopolistic behavior and not have, all sorts of spray and problems. And Google might be now, when Eddy Q, by the way, said that Google searches were down on Apple, Google's stock went down 7.5% in that day. It was like, freaked people out. The company released a one-paragraph statement saying, hey, wait a minute. We continue to see overall query growth in search. This includes an increase in total queries coming from Apple's devices and platforms. I feel like they're fudging statistics somehow, but I'm not sure where. It's, in other words, they're saying, hey, more generally, as we enhance search with new features, AI. People are seeing that Google search is more useful for more of their queries, and they're accessing it for new things in new ways. We're excited to continue this innovation.
Choice.
Yeah, we make them. We pay them to do that.
Let me put forth a remedy that I wish that they would do.
Yes.
They should put whatever metric they want, share of advertising, market share, whatever. Just put a number and just say, Google, we're capping you at 80%. And you have to do whatever you can to get to 80% within 2-3 years.
Like decrease your market share.
Yeah. And if they don't do it, then they'll force a remedy.
How would you? So what would Google do? Take out ads saying, don't use our browser?
They can invest in other companies. They can invest more in like Mozilla. And,
you know what? That's a great idea.
As opposed to like they could try to make the environment better for other people so that it makes it an even playing ground, and then they could choose exactly how that they, from a financial standpoint, can play their fork. And then that way, if they're told what they need to do, they won't do the extras that they need to do. It's like putting it in other properties or giving it, like whenever I open up Edge, for instance, it says, hey, do you want to switch to Chrome? Like stuff like that, they would stop doing, and they can audit what they're doing to juice the shares, and then figure out what they can change to make it get down and prop up others. Just they would be less anti-competitive, and that would change their actions, and you would have a strict metric that everyone can monitor to make sure it works.
You should write a note to Judge Mehta.
There's the, and I'm going to screw it, it's the Herfindahl-Hirschman Index. Oh. And that is used by the FTC to measure, or sorry, not the FTC, the DOJ's Antitrust. That's a measure of market concentration. Now, what happens is you fight to figure out how you want to measure your market. Like, it's like whatever data, whatever KPIs you're going to pick. So, do you want search engine? Do you want it per user? Do you want it per different browsers? Or not browsers, sorry, different operating systems? And we could, that's a total thing that you can do it. There's many, many really boring research papers about this. And I only know about it because I covered antitrust for the phone companies and broadband.
There you go.
But yes, you're spot on, Wes. That's exactly what people should be doing.
Actually, there's a good example of this. Untoward Media in our YouTube chat saying, I'm reminded of the time Microsoft put $100 million into Apple and saved it when Microsoft was being prosecuted for antitrust behavior.
Intel did the same thing with AMD. That's why Intel was like, hey,
interesting.
Here, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Not out of any altruistic reason, probably, but just
no, they wanted it was.
We don't want to be a monopoly. We just so you're saying 80%? That'd be okay, Wesley. 80%.
I don't know. Just pick whatever number that
not
is
100.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Or when choose the metric, and then now everyone knows that, and you can actually verify this externally too. So it's not just a big secret, like, oh, they divested from Chrome, but then they bought Mozilla, or they invested so much more that they're able to still use that to funnel whatever. It keeps them from doing untoward, underhanded things, and it actually changes their behavior.
Apple implied, Eddy Q implied that Apple was planning or looking at not replacing Google search with Apple search, but replacing it with AI. And to that end, Google, by the way, said, oh, yeah, we're talking with them about using our AI Gemini. There's a rumor of a deal with Anthropic, the makers of Claude, which is a very good AI, and Perplexity. Although I'm reading a piece from Club Mac Stories by John Voorhees, who said, maybe not Perplexity because its CEO shows not only contempt for the open web, but says, we're going to make a browser. And by the way, it's going to track everything users do online and sell hyper-personalized ads. And that's a good thing, isn't it? There he is.
It actually is.
So a lot of people will find that a good thing because they don't quite understand what's happening. People still are very excited about super personalized everything, even though they don't understand that super personalization comes because they're being stopped.
I'm kind of flattered that ChatGPT knows so much about me, though. That's kind of cool.
And then to get all that for free, just because you get some really juicily, appropriately targeted ads, or maybe you get weirded out by oh my God, how do they know about the warts on my feet? Those are just moments where you're just like, oh, I don't understand. And you shrug it off and you keep You keep feeding the beast all your data.
Google last month lost its case against the Department of Justice, who was suing it, saying you have a monopoly in advertising, which I think is actually a serious problem. They control both the buy and sell end of advertising, as well as being the platform for the advertising. The U.S. District Court ruled that Google monopolized open web digital ad markets. The DOJ says Google should sell its ad exchange. It also wants it to sell Google Ad Manager, which was, remember, it bought DoubleClick for publishers. And so it's saying it wants Google to spin off those ad portions. Google might end up at the end of this year a much smaller company, or maybe not because it takes a while, but at some point, a much smaller company after all this.
Yeah, remember, so Microsoft has been through so many antitrust cases, and they're all, like Shoshana said, a little bit late, right? Like,
yeah,
it got tagged for bundling as everything started to go online.
Yeah, they put the browser in the operating system, like, oh, shocking.
And then, there'll be so many appeals, and this will take forever.
Yeah.
And by the time it's done, they will have, the point of the appeals, sure, you can stop it, but it also buys you plenty of time to figure out the next angle to get your cash flow.
Well, but remember what happened with the Microsoft case, and Paul Thurrott at our Windows Weekly Show reminded me that Steve Ballmer spent a year of his tenure as CEO negotiating with the DOJ, and finally got out of the spit. They wanted to break it up. They got out of that and did a consent decree, which just said, we won't do this. We won't be so rapacious anymore. And the DOJ put an ombudsman inside Microsoft watching what they're doing. They conceded a lot, but they didn't get broken up. And I suspect the same thing I imagine that those negotiations will happen. Although everything's kind of up in the air with the new administration. This is one of the things that's, I think, problematic for the United States, is that every 4 years they change their point of view, right?
Well, okay. Up until now, I would say they may have changed a little bit about the point of view. So yes, you have historically seen FTCs or DOJs stop prosecuting cases, but at a very small level. What's happened now is they have blown up the idea of the government enforcing any rules, and that is very different. So I would caution us and say what is happening now is very different from just a mere change in point of view.
Yeah.
I would
definitely is an
argue
anti-tech sentiment running through the nation, yes?
I would argue that the rules are always harsh. It's just that they choose where to point the gun. So it's never enforced equally.
Right.
They just choose who is going to be the focus for that quarter term or administration.
And that's based on, who they're pissed off at the moment. Right. And, remember in 2017, President Trump said, we're going to ban TikTok. And then Congress, a few, 5-8 years later, passed a law banning TikTok. And then Trump gets reelected and says, no, we're not going to ban TikTok. And in fact, as far as I can tell, that law saying TikTok has to be either divested to an American company or shut down is never going to go into effect. Trump says, yeah, I'm just going to keep delaying it.
The law went into effect. He's just not following the law.
He's just not going to enforce it. Yes, you're right. It is a law.
I actually think it's a huge problem, though. It's interesting, too, because I think it's part of what Stacey was getting at a little bit, too, earlier, that the new Trump FTC also does not like tech. But also, to Wesley's point, the administrations go after people they don't like, which I think is a bad thing, that they should be going after people breaking the law or causing problems. Not there shouldn't be favoritism, but it's kind of inherent in politics, which is really sad that it's just human nature in politics where it's hard to overcome that stuff. But then it's like you're saying with Trump too, with the TikTok stuff, it's just all oh, he likes them now, so they're in the clear, which is not a great governing strategy. But it's not unique to him either. Maybe he takes it more extreme, but I see this constantly where it's oh, I like them, so whatever, versus oh, I don't like them, so I'll actually go after them.
Well, and if you like AI, then you'll like what the Trump administration is doing, because they overruled Biden's executive order on AI safety. They've now said, we don't want any restrictions on AI at all. So, yeah, that's right. It's a gun, but it's aimed at different directions every few years.
And I would caution that there's an evolution in viewpoint in the electorate as well. So
that's true. I think you're right.
Like, we shouldn't want everything to stay exactly static, because then we would still be hanging out, in 1776 with the lack of voting rights, et cetera. Right. So we do.
A good point. Yes.
I mean,
as a white male owning property, though, I think that's fine.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be allowed to vote. None of
you would be able to vote. I would get the one vote in this panel.
Yeah, would be property in that situation.
Right.
Yeah,
I would be against that.
No, you make an excellent point, Stacey. We've come a long way, haven't we? Yeah.
Well, and just that we expect it to change as our needs change as a society.
Yes.
There's a difference between leadership and management, and management is being able to marshal everyone in a direction and then head there and keep everyone in line. That's management. Leadership is going on top of a hill and saying, we should be going in that direction.
Right.
And the loosening restrictions helps with management. It lets people raise money. It helps people move faster in the thing that they're going to do. But I think removing safeguards is not something that helps with leadership. People are going to move faster, but they may be going in the wrong direction. And by the time we turn around and see where we are, we could be a few meters or miles or large distances from where we should be. And we have to backtrack, which would waste time. So it advantages people who want to move fast, yes, but not in terms of leadership, which I think that's more compelling.
Ideally, you have both, right? And maybe one administration is a leader and one administration is a manager, but you need both. You need some vision. You need to know where you're going. You need some leadership, but you also need to manage. Once you've built the road, you need to manage it. You can't just charge over the hill.
But the question is, even though they say we want to be dominant, we want to win this. There's nothing in leadership. It's all about management. We just want to go faster. So buy more GPUs. And then you can see even with D.D.C, they were like, well, we looked at the fundamental, how this was put together, and they were able to get some really big gains. And so going faster without looking back and doing the deep, actual work of figuring out how things work and how they work best, it allows you to be flat-footed and caught off guard. And so
there's a time for move fast and break things, but there's also a time to build and fix things.
As long as it's foundational. We need to build the foundation. So if you're abandoning the foundation and building on top of that, it's all going to fall apart. Sorry, go Stacey.
Oh, no. I was just going to say there's also two different, worldviews or perspectives here. One is, what is the role of government versus what is the role of business?
Right.
And I mean, I know that we like to think they're the same and they should be the same, but that's crazy talk, because nobody actually loves their employer / company that much that they would trust them with their social safety net. So you're totally right. And then there's that extra dynamic. And
well, if we want to bring in history, there was at the very beginning of this country a fork in the road. There was, is the government going to be about supporting business, or is the government going to be about supporting its people? And we have over many years made that choice again and again and again. But essentially, Alexander Hamilton and his faction won, and America was about business. The feeling being, if you support business, and this was at the beginning of an industrial era that we became a mighty power as a result of. If you support business, everybody will benefit in the long run. It's an interesting.
I don't remember that song in Hamilton. What was that?
It wasn't in the show, the Broadway show, no. But it was essentially the debate between Monroe, Madison, Jefferson, who were agrarians, and the South and it was the North versus the South, New York versus Virginia.
It was more about monetary policy.
Well, that's what it was. That's right.
But I would not.
But for instance, Hamilton wanted a federal bank.
He did.
Right.
He wanted a government that could make unilateral decisions around money and set monetary policy.
Right.
In part because I don't know if it was pro-business. I can see how you would say it was like pro-industrialization because the North is like super industrial, but
he also made trade deals all over the world, right?
But I don't think he ever abandoned the idea that a government's
the people.
A core purpose of the government was to serve the people.
Well, they're all people. Some of them own businesses. That's all. I'll tell you where the people are in charge. In Texas, big tech is not above the law, according to Attorney General Ken Paxton. For years, Google secretly tracked people's movements, private searches, and even their voice prints and facial geometry through their products and services. Paxton says, I fought back and won. Google will pay $1.4 billion to Texas to settle the claims the company collected users' data without permission.
Yeah, do it, Ken Paxton. I mean, I'm not a huge Paxton fan, but sometimes you do the right thing.
Yeah.
I'll do you one better. Pass a privacy law.
Yeah, a federal, not a state one, because we have state privacy laws. We have California has a
federal
very good
privacy law that doesn't preempt the best parts of state privacy laws. That's
the
what
problem.
we saw.
Yeah, Maria Cantwell's law actually preempted the state laws. That's the problem. But we do. We all agree. Everybody who is on our panels, everybody who's tech savvy agrees we need a federal privacy law. We need to get the data brokers under controls. And
we agree with that, but we want preemption just because like when you have the patchwork, I am worried about that.
It's okay to preempt it as long as it's a better law.
Yeah.
No, I got you.
Don't preempt, California has a strong law. And it seemed to me, Maria Cantwell, I was always puzzled why she wanted a federal privacy law. And then I realized, it's because the state laws are getting stronger and stronger. Illinois has a very strong privacy law. And so let's make a federal law that's weaker and preempt the state laws is not what we want. We want a stronger federal law, right?
Yeah. The one, there was actually a really good one. I think it was 2 years ago, not last year's our law, but that one was okay. But then it didn't pass. And then we got this next one. And
I feel like there's never going to be a successful, maybe I'm wrong.
The more I learn about passing legislation, the more depressed I get as an individual. Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, I've brought a lot of really simple, like 99.9% of people would agree, like small, narrow, simple stuff to lawmakers. And then, and I mean, even agencies too. And they're like, yeah, this is a great idea. And then they're like, but it's not sexy, so we're not going to do it. And I'm like, just do the thing.
Yeah.
I'm pitching a law right now that's like that. And I'm like, please, let's make it happen. But it's probably not going to happen.
Say more.
Well, hold on. Hold that thought. I do want to find out what is that to the degree you could talk about it, Stacey, but we got to take a break. It's great to have Stacey Higginbotham here. She is a policy fellow now with Consumer Reports, and you can see she works with that kind of policy. That's fantastic. We're so glad you're working for us. Thank you, Stacey. Shoshana Weissman doing the same at rstreet.org, head of digital media over there. It's great to have you. And Wesley Faulkner, who is leading the charge over the hill at wesley83.com. Great to see all three of you. Our show today brought to you by, we were talking about privacy, ExpressVPN. More than a sponsor, it's the VPN I use and recommend. Going online without ExpressVPN, like driving a car without insurance. Yeah, you might be a great driver, but with all the crazy people out there on the road these days, why would you take that risk? This is why everyone needs ExpressVPN. Every time you connect to an unencrypted network, whether it's a cafe, a hotel, an airport, your online data is not secure. Any hacker on the same network can gain access to and steal your personal data. It doesn't take much technical knowledge to hack someone, just some cheap hardware. A smart 12-year-old could do it. Your data is valuable. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per person selling personal info on the dark web. ExpressVPN stops hackers from stealing your data by creating a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. And the VPN you use, the choice you make, that's super important. You need to trust the VPN that you choose. I trust and use ExpressVPN. I love them. They go the extra mile to make sure your data is absolutely invisible. ExpressVPN is the best VPN. It's super secure. To take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. It's easy to use. You fire up the app, you click one button, you're protected, and it works on all devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you can stay secure on the go. Rated #1 by top tech reviewers like CNET and The Verge. In fact, when I travel, I use it to catch the football game or my shows and to keep me secure. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/twit. That's expressvpn.com/twit to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months free when you buy a 2-year package. expressvpn.com/twit. All right, Stacey, what are you working on?
Oh,
what are you? Can you tell us? I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We issued a press release. I was so excited.
That must be real. Yeah.
In March, we put forth model legislation. So that's just Consumer Reports, PERG, a security group, Center for Democracy and Technology. We basically wrote a law and are now shopping it around, and hopefully someone will be like, oh, I think this law is so great, I'm going to totally pass it. And it is requiring manufacturers to disclose when they plan to stop supporting their connected devices or routers. So any connected consumer product, when you buy it, there should be that minimum guaranteed support time frame. So,
we talked about that.
Yeah, we totally did. Because
congratulations. So it's going great, right? Everybody's going to get on board. It's going to pass. President's going to sign it. Deal done.
Yeah, sure.
Why is everybody
pitching it to the states? Yeah, we're pitching it to the states because that's a little bit more likely.
Go to the states. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it is like, oh, sorry. That's my dog. Hi.
Oh, I thought it was Bernie Sanders for a minute. Go ahead. Yeah.
The FBI
that was a good
last
name for
week.
A dog, by the way. Bernie
Sanders.
You getting some success pitching this around?
No, I was going to say we've actually had a really compelling reason this is useful. Is the FBI just told everybody last week that if you're using routers from, earlier than 2010, you should get rid of them because they're being targeted by a botnet. So that is exactly why we need this, because the FBI was like, generally, if it's older than 2010, that's 15 years, it's probably not supported, but we don't know. But that's the kind of thing we want to just be able to tell people hey, you could find this easily. This means you're not supported. This means you are. Get rid of it. Anyway.
It seems so little to ask.
Is there a threshold of how many devices or, for instance, if I'm a independent hardware manufacturer, I don't know if this is going to take off or not. So do I still need to disclose at that point?
Excellent question. That is why we are pushing a minimum supported time frame that you disclose, and then you can change it at any point in time. You just have to, when you change it, put it on the product webpage.
So
because yes, because you might actually now I do think if you're going to sell a connected product, you should make a commitment to support it for at least 2 years. That's, unless it's a $10 toy.
Yeah,
but
2 years doesn't seem very long, actually.
It's not. And a lot of people, I get a lot of pushback.
These are durable goods you expect to have for 10 years or more. I mean, who thinks about updating their router until if it breaks, which it may never break?
Oh, dude, you should upgrade your router every 5 years.
Well, you and I know that. But I think most people aren't going, hey, that router's 2 years old. It's probably time for a new one. People don't buy new mattresses. Why are they not going to update something in the closet that they don't even know it's there?
Well, right.
I helped a neighbor a couple of years ago. He said, our internet's not great. And I said, all right, well, let me take a look at your router. It was in the garage. The garage was full of stuff. I literally had to climb over furniture and stuff to get to the router, which had been sealed up basically in the wall since he bought the house. That's pretty typical, I think.
How old was this person?
He was an older man, older gent. Hey, I'm an older gent. It's, let's not be ageist here. Okay.
I'm not trying to be ageist. I'm just like, there are certain people who would notice that they were only getting like 10 megabits per second.
Everybody who listens to our shows is smart enough to consider this as an issue.
It's not intelligence. It's just they care about this part of technology.
Well, they know about it. Yeah, they're aware of it. But I think
I think the FBI. It was the TP-Link router that you mentioned,
or was it MikroTik?
It was actually a Linksys. Is that they put out a call for?
They've all been.
They've all been hacked.
They've all been in there. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm keeping a running document of all the hacked routers.
We had a story on Security Now where bad guys got into a network, but then everything was protected. They were trying to put some ransomware in there, and they couldn't find anything. Finally, they found a security camera that was running Linux, had enough RAM, enough CPU for them to put the malware on the camera, which of course hadn't been updated ever. That's also a big problem, right? All of these IoT devices never get updated.
That's
I would say
our legislation.
Yes, if you have one of these routers and you don't have the money, look into like something like DDWRT or Open WRT.
Yes.
Or
hack your router firmware.
Yes, hack it.
Yes.
And
that is the only thing you can do. Like if you're running one of these older routers,
right. That's it. Or throw it out.
If you go to OpenWRT, you can download.
This is a larger conversation, though, because these products are really designed to be thrown out, which they shouldn't be. They should be designed to be updated, even if it's not by the manufacturer. They should be open so that you could put your own firmware on there. Not that most people would know how to do that, but still, it's a shame. These things are designed, even phones are designed as disposable items.
So after mid-August, I'm actually giving a talk at Usenix about building for longevity.
Yes.
And so I will have an entire talk on all the things, and we can talk about all the ideas, and it'll be super fun because you're right. It is wasteful. It is anti-consumer. It is really wasteful.
Just think of that. Hundreds of millions of routers that are superannuated in the United States that are just going to end up in landfill.
It's not just routers. It's,
everything.
Your phones, it's your Chromebooks, It's everything. There's heavy metals in there. It is like Wesley was saying, we've invested a lot in this infrastructure. We've gone several steps forward without thinking of all the repercussions. And now we're thinking about the repercussions. And, I constantly hear, well, it's just too expensive. We can't go back. And I'm like, we might be forced to at some point.
Yeah. Carl in our YouTube chat says OpenWRT sounds like a sore. Hey, it sounds better than the Tomato router, which is another firmware you could put on there, or DDWRT. No, I agree with you, Wesley. And I really feel like we, but it's not going to happen. But we're so focused on profit right now that the right thing to do would be build this stuff in a way that it could be updated, it could be fixed, it could be repaired, that it would have some longer life. But it seems like it's hopeless at this point. I don't know.
OpenWRT actually built a router that is kind of designed that way. They've designed it with, extra memory. It's modular, so you can replace boards.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that's
perfect.
And consumers want this. Like if you think about the framework laptop, people are excited about that. That is new and interesting. It's not that we have been focused on profit. It's just that we haven't been given a choice. And if you, I'm sure you've heard of the Slate truck.
I love that.
Everyone,
I hope that takes off.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a $20,000 truck that doesn't even have a radio in it, let alone any additional software. It doesn't even have a screen in it or speakers, but you then can upgrade it or modify it. Yeah.
And this customization is just something consumers aren't used to because they're not given the choice, and consumer choice is limiting what products get to market and which ones are surviving. And I personally have started tinkering with my own home lab. So
nice.
buying computers and networking equipment and gear, and being able to like re-firmware an old Chromebook, or loading like OpenWRT on an old router and letting me repurpose it and skin it and choose the interface I want, gives it a longer lifespan post its first owner. And if we want to be sustainable, that not only makes it so it lasts longer, but it also opens up access to people who didn't have this technology when it first went through. And I think that's great.
We need to kind of rethink how we treat our society and treat the world.
But I will toss a little sadness on this, or a little piss in your Cheerios, as it were. With even things like OpenWRT, you have to, if you put this on your routers, you have to make sure that you are applying security updates, and you have to manage it. And I think one of the things that companies know, consumers don't really think about, is every connected device that they bring into their house, they actually have to manage actively. And you're bringing so many more things in right now. And I think that's exhausting and confusing to people. Putting open source on top of that, so they actually have to proactively go out and manage it, might be a bridge too far for people.
Yeah.
In ways that are.
Well, we just have to, we have to start growing our own food, making our own furniture. I just think that we need to rethink how we've designed this society going forward.
Yeah.
We mentioned, I'm being a little facetious. We mentioned that Ken Paxton, who is, not my hero either, managed to get $1.4 billion out of Google. We also mentioned how it's a little complicated for big tech companies to deal with 50 states and 200 nations. Get ready for this one. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, he's just proud as heck, because he's filed a rule. Now, by the way, it's unclear whether you could just make a rule as the Attorney General and it will be law, but he has announced the filing of a rule. It's the state equivalent of an executive order. First in the nation under the Missouri Merchandising Practices Act, requiring big tech platforms to allow, get ready for this, Missouri users to choose their own content moderators rather than being forced to rely on the biased algorithms of monopolistic tech giants.
I think this is amazing. I mean, if you want to protect free speech, I think he's done it. I don't think any of these platforms are now, I think now they're not trouncing on anyone's free speech. Done. Consider it done.
Yeah, the rule clarifies that it's an unfair, deceptive, or otherwise unlawful practice for social media platforms, think X.com, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, to deny users the ability to choose an independent content moderator. How would that work? Platforms must now provide a choice screen in the state of Missouri upon account activation and at regular intervals. They cannot favor their own moderation tools and must allow full interoperability for outside moderators chosen by users.
That's stupid.
Could you see, I mean, with the protocol for Blue Sky, is that something you could
actually, it
moderate?
Could do that, couldn't it?
Okay. So, and then with Mastodon, could you, I mean, that's a little, can you apply a moderator
so I
on
run
top
a
of
Mastodon instance and I moderate it. What I could do when you signed in is said, look, I'm moderating this one. If you want to moderate yours, good news. Set up a server, run your own Mastodon, and you can moderate it any way that you want. Or this is actually what Federation does do. It lets you choose a moderator in effect, because if you go to my server, I'm the moderator. If you go to mastodon.social, then somebody else is the moderator. So in a way, that's the case. If Steve Bannon wanted to set up his own Mastodon and moderate it any way he wanted to, you could do that. So in a way, the federated systems already allow this. And I think they could probably say, yeah, but X doesn't. How would you How would you put your own moderator on X?
The issue is this is only for producing content, not for viewing. So you could choose your moderator for someone. If someone flagged me for, I don't know, racism or something, and it would go to my moderator, the one that I chose, and so
I don't understand it at all.
Which could be my cousin Vinny. Say,
yeah,
hey, Vinny.
That's what it sounds like.
and they're like, yeah, no, Wesley's cool. He can say whatever he wants. But it doesn't do anything for the consumer on the consumer side.
Well, I'm on the Missouri Attorney General's website. Let's just scroll down. There's a link. The full rule can be read here. Let's read the full rule. Oh, it's blocked.
I think your moderator prevented that from coming through.
It's been moderated.
This is just like my hell. All these freaking elected officials just like making up random crap and not understanding how things work. I've just had, I have some pieces coming out soon, but basically like in a different instance, age verification bills that strike like, 13-year-old from 14-year-old, 15-year-old from 16-year-old, stuff like that. Kids don't have IDs. They don't have IDs. They have birth certificates, but those don't have photos. And I'm like, how the hell are you going to do this
prove this
verifiable way? And I walk through like why it's impossible. And then so many of these rules, no matter how well intended, make no sense. And I have major issues with the big tech and free speech stuff. I'm like, no, the government can infringe on it and is always trying to constantly let's not give them more tools and more First Amendment exemptions. And in my age verification series, I'd done a piece on
you wrote a great one, by the way, that really was the definitive piece on this.
I'm adding more because they keep trying, and I'm like, you guys have more problems than
they never give up. Yeah,
but it's crazy because the precedent here is being used by courts to overturn this stuff, and no one cares. They just keep wanting to do it. And with this stuff too, this is super unconstitutional to say you must do speech in the way we want, and I'm just no. Come on.
That's the definition of a violation of the First Amendment. I mean, but the thing is, presumably he went to law school. He's an attorney general. He probably knows that this is posturing. He knows that. I don't
know. I know so many elected lawyers who who will tell me sincerely the things they're doing, there's no First Amendment issues. And these are smart people who really believe it. And I'm I just don't understand. There's so much precedent. You can read it. You can Google it or ChatGPT and then go read the full precedent. And I'm just I'm not a lawyer. I just read. I read ever at all. And I check with competent lawyers if I'm not sure, but no one else seems capable of doing that.
Okay.
That was what I was meaning when I was facetiously saying that he did it. It's just that if he wants to protect free speech, it's done. There's no work to be done in this area.
Right. Oh my gosh. And the moderators, it's we have all these laws too about copyright and about Section 230 exemptions with child content. And it's is your moderator gonna get the company in trouble because they're not gonna handle that stuff? You could see them being hi, I'm the fun IP moderator. You can do whatever you want with IP here and you're good. And then the company gets sued. I don't know.
It's just wild. We live in a very interesting world, because for a long time, Republicans said, we want smaller government. Ronald Reagan famously said, what was that? The 5 scariest words in the English language. I'm the government and I'm here to help. And now, of course, it's big government. Talk about big government. It's Attorney General Bailey. All right, go take a little break. Have more. I'm sorry. I'm getting head up. I like blunt talk, okay? If you wouldn't mind. No more circumlocuting the stories. We have a wonderful panel. Shoshana Weissman, Wesley Faulkner, Stacey Higginbotham. Great team. Love seeing you. We'll have more in just a bit, but first a word from our sponsor. And this is one I use and love. Bitwarden, the trusted leader in password secrets and passkey management. With more than 10 million users, this surprised me. I thought, only I know about Bitwarden because it's the open source choice. It's the cool choice, No, 10 million users across 180 countries. Then I thought, well, businesses probably don't know about it. No, 50,000 business customers worldwide. In fact, Bitwarden has gotten even more focused on the enterprise. They continue to protect businesses and individuals worldwide. G2 consistently ranks at number 1 in user satisfaction. They do their survey. This is the 5th year in a row of the World Password Day survey, and it always has interesting results. All generations, according to this survey, will benefit from a robust password manager. Gen Z. All right, let's talk about Gen Z. They probably the most digitally native generation, and they are, frankly, guilty of the highest incidence of password reuse. According to the survey, 72% of Gen Z reuses the same password across accounts. We know that's dangerous. 79% of Gen Z admit password reuse is risky. They know it's dangerous. And they still do it. 59% recycle an existing password when updating accounts with companies, even companies that disclose data breaches. Hi, I'm company XYZ. We had a big data breach. Can you change your password? Yeah, I'll just use the same one I used everywhere else. No. Bitwarden, you need Bitwarden, okay? Gen Z, get with it. Bitwarden has announced the launch of something new. This is exciting, called Access Intelligence. If you're a business with Gen Z employers, you're going to want this. It helps enterprises enable employees to proactively defend against internal credential risks like password reuse and external phishing threats. There's 2 core functionalities in this. There's risk insights. That's the first one. It reduces alert fatigue, because that's a problem too, right? You get these pop-ups, you just go, yeah. It lets IT teams identify, prioritize, and remediate at-risk credentials. They also have an advanced phishing blocker. This is part of Bitwarden that alerts and redirects users from known phishing sites in real time using a continuously updated open source block list of malicious domains. What sets Bitwarden apart is that it prioritizes simplicity, because it's no good having a security tool if it's too complicated to use, right? Bitwarden's setup only takes a few minutes. It'll automatically import from most password management solutions. And if you're curious, the Bitwarden open source code can be inspected by anyone. That's so important to me that it's open source. And it can be inspected by auditors. In fact, they have regular third-party experts auditing it, and they publish the results of those audits every year. Bitwarden meets stringent security and compliance requirements, SOC 2 Type 2, GDPR, HIPAA, CCPA, ISO 27001, :2002 certification. Look, let's just, in a nutshell, Bitwarden's secure, Bitwarden does it right, and you need Bitwarden for your business because your employees aren't doing it right. You and your business deserve an effective solution for enhanced online security. Get started today with Bitwarden's free trial of a Teams or Enterprise plan, or get started for free across all devices as an individual user at bitwarden.com/twit. It's the only one I use, bitwarden.com/twit. We thank them so much for the support of This Week in Tech. What ages are Gen Z? I never know those labels. I'm a boomer.
97 through 2012.
So they're internet natives. They grew up with the internet.
Yeah, my kid is Gen Z.
Yeah. Probably the DOGE bros are Gen Z too, right?
Well, both Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth apparently reuse their passwords. So yeah. This is not just a Gen Z phenomenon.
No, everybody does.
Everyone should, y'all just get yourself OnePass, LastPass, Bitwarden, just whatever you do, just get a password
and
manager. Use it.
Yeah.
I bet
that's all.
It always kills me, like in my soul, that like lawmakers will try to make things less secure by just going after big tech to do it. And I'm like, hey, you guys haven't gotten stuff great together. The government's hacked all the time, and like now more than ever. And I'm always very sensitive about that, because I'm like we shouldn't punish companies for doing things that are good for security when they do. But I mean, the extent to which it's gotten bad. I mean, they reuse passwords using your name, even if it's like an alternative name of yours as a password, like your middle name, or if I use my Hebrew name. But if I'm in government doing that, I'm just like, so physically angry about that.
Well, you should be. I mean, this is the problem: is those passwords, even if they're good passwords, if they get revealed in a breach, if you used it at Target and Target got breached, the bad guys are just going to take that email and password and try it everywhere. So if you're reusing your passwords, you're going to get, they call it credential stuffing. You're going to get hacked, like DOGE bro Kyle Schutt. By the way, this is one of the DOGE kids who has access to FEMA's core financial.
37.
Okay,
not a
so
kid.
he's not a kid. Hey, to me, 37 is a kid. Let me just tell you. Anyway, all right, not a kid, and so he should know better, right? He has access to FEMA's core financial management system. He is, in fact, I think, going to get access. He's part to that whole API they're generating that will combine all the government databases. Meanwhile, according to ProPublica, his personal Gmail address is on Have I Been Pwned in 51 data breaches, in 5 pastes, and he's been reusing his passwords.
Yeah, the fact that he's on all the paste sites is because at first I was like, we've all been, we're all on Have I Been Pwned.
Yeah,
right?
I'm on Have I Been Pwned. No big deal, right?
But yeah, he has definitely got some malware on some of his computers.
The thing that's, the stealer logs are what's scary. Those are the password stealers that are actually malware on your computer. And the fact that he's in those logs means at least one of his computers has had malware on it, may still have malware on it. And he has access to all these government databases.
And they're just bringing it home and like willy-nilly saving it on USB sticks, dropping them in parking lots, let them hang out with, the lack of security, just like normal people security here is just astonishing. And the fact that all of this data is just being funneled to these people who are like, I don't know, like flower girls at a wedding, just toss it here. And
I should point out, this wasn't when he was 16. There's a stealer's log from this year that he's in.
And if the DOGE sites gets hacked, which it has, we kind of knew this was coming.
Yeah, almost immediately it got hacked, didn't it?
And when you think about, you brought up Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth, and how Hegseth specifically put in a system to help breach security, so that they could bridge instead of going into a SCIF so we can check signal on his phone. They're circumventing these quote unquote bureaucratic convoluted policies.
We want to move fast and break things.
And there's a reason why they're put into place. And when you have a disregard for the law and you have a disregard for policies, and you don't take the time to inquire why they were put there or how you could, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And just because you're smart in one area doesn't make you smart in all areas. And if you are great at one thing, doesn't mean you're great at everything. And so people forget this, especially when you talk about bringing in these whiz kids or dude bros from DOGE into the government, and they are going in with this hubris of, move over and let me have access. This is bound to happen. And this is just, the tip of the iceberg, because we all know as well that, like AT&T telecoms have been breached, and I don't think that still have been fixed.
No, they can't fix it.
And so
they fired everybody looking into it.
Exactly. And so
they've actually said, yeah, we can't fix it because we'd have to take the phone system down for a few days or weeks. And obviously, we're not going to be able to take the whole phone system down.
Yeah, this is, consider, like, if you lose your data, your hard drive dies, just try to call China and just say, hey, can I get my backup?
Have it.
Yeah.
Here's Mike Waltz, former secretary, what was he, DNS? Was he it says right here, I can zoom in. That's the beauty of it. He is the national security advisor on his phone. First of all, you're got photographers over your shoulder taking pictures, and the cameras we use nowadays, you can zoom in pretty good. So there he is. He's not using Signal. He's using telemessage, which is a modified Signal that allows you to store your signal conversations. Here's a problem. Of course, they're stored in the clear. That's, on the one hand, that's a good thing because the Government Records Act requires it. On the other hand, they're stored in the clear by this thing called telemessage, which has now been hacked and just went out of business.
Yes, like none of us could see the use of an open source Israeli-made chat system that was designed to like do this would not be hacked.
Yeah.
I mean,
404 Media had a very good piece on this. That they've done such great coverage on this kind of stuff. The hacker, it was kind of funny, said, I just wanted to see if I could get in. It took me about 15 minutes to get into the database. Sent 404 an example of the data. 404's expert, I think Michael Lee, looked at it and said, yeah, that's real data. Joseph Cox had the original article. Pretty clear that there's a problem, and unclear what the solution is going to be, except that we already had these rules in place. I mean, this is a perfect example of screw around and find out. It's like,
they made a mistake.
Look at all the people, by the way, in the government who are using telemessage. These are all DHS addresses.
404 is great. They put out some of the best stuff.
They're so good.
They've alerted me to a lot of stuff, like when an age verification system was just breached for like a full year and a half, and everyone's like, cool, and X is still using it. They wanted to confirm my identity for something, and they're using Authentic. So I'm like, oh yeah, let's keep using those guys. But with this stuff too, it's like there's bureaucracy and there's like stuff maybe we could get rid of, but like security rules for messaging are like not one of them. Like unless they think they could be better or something. But I just don't know why they refuse to like be secure. Like I don't understand like the aversion to like using secure channels.
It's not, I feel like it's got to be arrogance. Like no one has ever, like if you've never been in a position where you've had to look over your shoulder, you're concerned about what might happen to you. I feel like to me, it is so obvious that like you pay attention to your surroundings. Like, and I'm sure to most of us it is, because
Mike Waltz apparently never had to, you know?
Yeah, but there are lots of people, like I look at my husband who walks through cities like head in his phone. Like he's never had a worry that someone's going to like attack him in a parking lot or something. Or, you know, I have friends who loudly proclaim crazy opinions and I'm like, dude, someone could hear that. And so I think fundamentally these are just people who are genuinely, they're not worried about what's happening around them.
Someone in our YouTube chat is pointing out that, yes, my personal information has leaked out over this channel. In fact, wasn't so long ago, I accidentally posted my Apple password on the screen and I had to change it during a show. But I'm not the director of national security. I'm not the national security advisor. I'm just a podcaster.
Nobody died.
Well, you probably changed your passwords after that,
immediately, right? Before the show was over. And I don't use the same password everywhere. I use a password manager. I use Bitwarden. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. People need to pay more attention, I guess.
Well, and if you look at today's news about President Trump accepting the plane from...
Yeah, sure. What could possibly go wrong?
Like, that's not secure.
You know, Air Force One is designed to carry the president safely, securely. It's got all sorts of communications equipment, but it also has protection against pulse bombs and other things. But is it the Qatari plane that?
It's a Qatar. Yeah, it's from Qatar.
It's from Qatar. It's, he's not going to accept this. Look, that's got to be a bad rumor. There's no way. He's on a Middle East tour. Supposedly he's going to go to Qatar. They're going to offer him an airplane. You can have this 747. We'll give it to you, which, by the way, is a problem to begin with. I think it's worth more than $5. And then you're going to ride around in it?
He really wants a plane, and he's real like up at Boeing.
He's got 2 Air Force Ones.
He wants a good plane. These are junky old planes.
Oh, they're old. Yeah, this one's
he's been trying to push Boeing to reduce like the security clearances for the contractors officially working on the version of Air Force One, because he's like, dude, I need a new plane. This is taking so much time.
Yeah.
So
he's not going to take it. Cooler heads will prevail and say, Mr. President, you can't ride around in a plane provided by a foreign power. You can't.
And then keep it afterwards.
Oh, is that the plan? He would just keep it.
It's going to be donated to his president.
Oh, it goes to the library. Yeah.
This is definitely reminds me of like just general IT, the case of where when you have an umbrella and it's raining and people are like, we're not getting wet, so why do we need an umbrella? It's these security protocols. They're like, we haven't been breached. Nothing bad has happened.
Nothing bad has ever happened.
So why do we need these security?
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. We have been breached. We have.
Oh yeah. wait. I'm not saying they have. We haven't. I'm saying their knowledge of how bad things have gotten, how things are in there. If it's not, if that information is not immediately recallable by them, it doesn't exist.
Yes, that is true. And a lot of people like, man, talk about being a downer in meetings. Like when I bring things up and actual hacks that have happened, they're like, what? No, that didn't happen. I'm like, it totally happened here. They're like, why didn't I know about this? I was like, it was on the front page of the Journal and the Wall Street, and the Times. They're like, huh. So I feel like we have a real blind spot for security stories, I think.
By the way, Trump's own plane is from the early 1990s. We bought it from Paul Allen in 2011. It's older even than Air Force One, I think. So, all right. He have a nice new Qatari plane. Good
he needs
him.
a new plane.
He needs a new plane. I need a new plane. We all need new planes.
I don't know. My plane is perfectly fine.
For less than a 747-888, you could buy Bowers and Wilkins, Denon, Marantz, and Polk. And that's exactly what Samsung just did. $350 million instead of $400 million. Pretty much, they now own all the high-end audio brands from my youth. They own Harman International, JBL. That, by the way, Harman International includes Harman Kardon, AKG, Mark Levinson, Arcam, Revel. They will own Bowers and Wilkins, Denon, Marantz, Polk Audio.
Wow. Where's that Heisman-Hirschfeld index?
It's incredible. But it says more about what the end of high-end stereo than anything else, right?
That's true. Yeah. I loved the receiver back in the day, getting all those channels, and I haven't even thought about buying a receiver these days.
My college roommate had Bose 901s, they were the hot speakers. I always wanted a pair of Bowers and Wilkins speakers or Revel speakers. Those are the speakers they have down at the ranch in the Lucas soundstage. Beautiful speakers. It's all going to be Samsung.
When you listen to like encoded MP3s through your headphones,
exactly.
I mean, what
exactly? It's the white earphone era. I'm sorry, we're living in it now. Thank you, Apple. We're all living in the earbud era. All right,
do y'all listen to music? I'm just curious, like who here listens to music out. Okay, Leo, you're.
Well, I'm old. I know.
A generational outlier. Let's just call it that.
Well, young people listen to music. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, out loud, like.
Out loud.
Like my dad has.
You mean on open speakers?
So on
the hi-fi
chair. He has a chair he sits in that listens,
and his hair blows back with the
just
the
like
power of the speakers. Yeah, actually, that was a Maxell tape ad. But anyway, I bet you. Do any of you listen to sound on speakers anymore?
My wife bought a used record player at Goodwill for $10, and so we listened to that. I think we have lost the memory of what good sound is.
I have good speakers in every room of my house.
I have Sonos, but we only play it when there's a party or people are over.
Yeah,
never.
And do they comment? They say, "Oh, it sounds really good." Do they? You ever?
No one even notices. And I go to their house and they've got like a tiny little JBL Bluetooth speaker that like they're playing the music on, or they'll tell their Madam A or Amazon Echo to play music. It's terrible sounding.
I just signed up for a season tickets to the local symphony orchestra so I can hear music with other people performed by live artists in front of me in the whole thing. And it's so great. And I love it.
Yeah. I bet you'll still be scrolling on your phone. I don't think we have the attention to really listen.
I'm playing Words with Friends here. Could you keep it down?
I think that plays a part. We don't really focus on one thing. And I think that is probably the issue.
Wow. What a world.
Hi, this is Benito. So like I listen to music on speakers all the time. I'm an active music listener. But no, this is the thing is that people don't listen to music actively anymore. It's background now. That's all music is for people now.
Wallpaper music era. That's exactly right.
Yep.
Benito, by the way, is our producer and technical director. Just in case you were wondering, well, who's this voice? That is the voice of God, Benito Gonzalez.
It seems like I'm loud. I'm sorry. I can't hear myself.
You sound just perfect. I wish I sounded so good. He makes music though. You should. Benito, is your camera on?
Yeah, but I don't have any lights on. Hi.
Yeah, look what's behind him. Look what's behind him is all these speakers. I mean, synthesizers and wires and
I have
doohickeys. He said,
I thought it was an old-fashioned telephone switchboard.
It looks like it, doesn't it? All right, let's take a break. More to come. This is the first time I've felt old. You made me feel old, Stacey, because I listened to speakers.
So like I'm doing my job. This is what I do for you, Leo.
I missed you. You listen on speakers? Our show, actually, I bet a lot of people listen with on their home theater, right? When they're watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they have speakers then, right? You don't put on headphones then.
My husband and my kid both listen to the TV on their headphones. I know, it's real weird. I feel like this weird intruder in my house because I like make noise.
We are living in a different era. I think culturally, it's the wallpaper music era. It's the isolated headphone era. Mark Zuckerberg says most people only have 3 friends. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Count your friends, my friends. I know I have a lot of friends right now. 1, 2. There's 1,073 people watching us live right now, and every one of them, they're my friends. But that's I should say, don't think that's the audience size. That's a tenth or less of hundredths of what the total audience is. But it's nice to have them watching live. They can chat with us. Our show today brought to you by ThreatLocker. Love this guy. Oh my gosh. This is something that kind of, when I first learned about it, opened my eyes to security. It's called Zero Trust. In the past, we have lived in a security environment where, we have border protections, perimeter protections. But if somebody gets in, it's assumed, well, they're inside the network. They got to be good guys. They got to be us. And what is the result of that? Well, ransomware is just killing us. It's harming businesses worldwide. They get in through phishing emails, through infected downloads, through malicious websites, RDP exploits. And once they're in, man, they can move around your network. They can look at things. They can install malware on your camera, whatever. They could do it all. They could put stealers on your computers and start stealing your passwords and your credit cards. You need Zero Trust. ThreatLocker does it, and they make it so easy. ThreatLocker's Zero Trust platform. Here's the key. It takes a proactive deny by default approach. Deny by default. It blocks every action if it's not authorized. It protects you from both known and unknown threats. Doesn't matter. You don't need to know anything about it. Bad guys can't make a move. And, it works so well, it's used by big infrastructure companies like JetBlue. JetBlue can't afford to be shut down by ransomware. The Port of Vancouver uses ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker shields them from zero-day exploits, from supply chain exploits, and it's just a side effect, but a great benefit, provides complete audit trails for compliance. ThreatLocker's innovative ring fencing technology isolates critical applications from weaponization. It stops ransomware cold. Even 0 days. Nobody even knows how they work. Just stops them. And it limits lateral movement within your network. Because it's zero trust, right? ThreatLocker works in every industry. It supports Mac environments as well as Windows. You get 24/7 support based in the United States. You get complete, comprehensive visibility and control. Another example of an infrastructure, a city that cannot afford to be shut down. Mark Tolson, he's the IT director for the city of Champaign, Illinois. Here's the quote. ThreatLocker provides that extra key to block anomalies that nothing else can do. If bad actors got in and tried to execute something, I take comfort knowing that ThreatLocker will stop that. You're not going to hear about Champaign, Illinois getting ransomware. They got ThreatLocker. Stop worrying about cyber threats. Get unprecedented protection quickly, easily, cost-effectively. You'll be amazed how cost-effective it is at ThreatLocker. Visit threatlocker.com/twit to get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance. That's threatlocker.com/twit. Thank you, ThreatLocker, for supporting This Week in Tech. threatlocker.com/twit. Mark Zuckerberg says, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Most people only have 3 friends. He says in a podcast last week, he said, the average person wants more friends and connections with other people. And that the solution is AI friends. The average American, I think, he says, it's fewer than 3 friends, 3 people they'd consider friends, and the average person has demand for meaningfully more. I think it's like 15 friends. It sounds like he's just making this up. Mark, you might have 3 friends. Yeah. He told Ben Thompson, another podcast on Stratechery, for people who don't have a person who's a therapist, I think everyone will have AI. AI friends for all.
He's making it up because he's not using specifics.
It's very general.
Yeah,
I heard. People say
this reported. What time span does this entail? There's no specifics. So he's
3 friends.
Making it up.
That's all y'all have.
Yeah.
It's weird because the man literally owns the largest social network. So if anyone has high quality research on the number of friends and relationships people have, you would think it would be him.
Except remember that Facebook went from being a place where you would go keep in touch with your friends to a TV station, an entertainment stream, right?
To Craigslist for people. That's the only thing people use it for now.
Do you use the marketplace? Is that what people
I'm
use?
not on Facebook, but that is literally the only thing anyone that is under the age of like 40 uses it.
My son says I got it on the Facebook marketplace all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's usually crap, by the way. I'm saying.
There's
maybe
good
it's just him.
furniture on there. I feel like if you enjoy like touching up furniture, or doing some new stuff with it, like that's a really good use for it. But he says the weirdest stuff. I don't understand why he feels the need to do this. Like no one is making him do this and say terrible, strange things. And also the Instagram chatbots have had major problems. Before the Wall Street Journal reported on it, I was like, I see something here. There was like a celebrity, if I recall correctly. I think she went to Pakistan to find her love, who she'd been talking to, and then when that happened, she had a chatbot, and this is how I found out even who she was. And I was talking with the chatbot because I'm like, who is this person? And the chatbot was really angry. She's like, why do you care where I am? And I'm like, what the hell? This is supposed to be a fun chatbot that someone created. And it was almost joking about how this woman was missing. I'm like, I cannot imagine that anyone wants this. Normal people are not going to be haha, let me talk with this missing celebrity either. It was bizarre stuff. So their guardrails on stuff are just dumb low.
From the Wall Street Journal, in Zuckerberg's vision for a new digital future. First of all, people like Mark Zuckerberg should not get to determine my digital future. I just want to say, I don't want him telling me what my future is going to be. Artificial intelligence friends outnumber human companions. Chatbot experiences supplant therapists and ad agencies. Oh, and by the way, coders as well. AI, this is all Zuckerberg's, Now, remember, he's also selling something, right? And this is, Sam Altman does the same thing. In the future, AI will play a central role in the human experience, says Zuckerberg. I think people are going to want a system that knows them well and that kind of understands them in the way that their feed algorithms do.
I'm going to say something. He's detached from reality.
He is.
He's an awesome executive if you look at his earnings. But they just had their LlamaCon or whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah,
he was interviewing the I think Satya Nadella, saying like how much of your code is created by AI, and they were like 30% or something or like that. And then the question was turned back on him. It's like, how much code is being created and Meta via chat assistants or whatever, LLMs? And he says, I have no idea. And so he went from having no idea to saying something where like
it's the future.
100% of the code is from Llama is right. Going to be created by these agents or bots. And then he's saying that
at one point this year that they would replace senior coders with AI.
Yeah, he has no idea. And it shows that him not having like hard data available means that he is making this up. And that's the only thing that's happening. So he is taking a page from the masculine energy, let's go total MAGA variety, and the Elon
the manosphere.
I'm going to say things that aren't true, but it's going to hype people up to sell more product. And he's just really acclimating to the scene as it is right now, because he's a chameleon to get only what he wants. And that's the same playbook, and he's just going to do whatever works. And that's
the journal quotes Magana Dar, who's a former Instagram executive. The very platforms that have led to our social isolation and being chronically online are now posing a solution to the loneliness epidemic. Dar says, it almost seems like the arsonist coming back and being the fireman.
So
isn't it interesting? He wants to fix this problem, but not with people.
Yeah.
Well, tech always, this is what tech is good at. I mean, if they have the hammer and they're going to make everything the right kind of nail for them.
Yeah.
And tech is great. Also, like, they're also looking for a shortcut. Like, there are things that AI is very good at. There are actually some therapeutic use cases that I think could be helpful to people. But it won't be everything, right? You can't just like, I don't know, like here's an analogy that may not resonate with a lot of people, but like my husband has, like one outfit that he wears all the time, right? It's his default outfit.
That resonates. That resonates.
The tech guys are like, well, I have this thing and it goes all these places. Whereas I have multiple outfits depending on, like, am I meeting with someone in Congress? Am I hanging out with my friends at a bar?
Yeah.
Like, in the tech world, they can make that one outfit. They can make it at scale.
Steve Jobs started that, right?
Yeah,
except he didn't just have one outfit. He had 50 black turtlenecks and 50 black pairs of Levi's. I mean, he had, and in fact, I think it was Zuckerberg who said, I want to limit my cognitive load when I look at my closet. I don't want to have to think about what to wear.
And they want that shortcut. And it's great for that use case, but it's not. And what they're selling all of us is a shortcut to the human experience that ultimately will fail us all. I mean, and I can't figure out why we can't see this.
It's like a South Park joke, which is, step 1, create social media that isolates everybody. Step 2, create AI friends so that nobody feels isolated. Step 3, profit. They could have written it on a napkin.
Except they're not profiting. That's the other part.
Well, and this is really a big story, which is how expensive this AI is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what No, I'm stepping off the soapbox. Other people talk.
No, it's okay. I like the soapbox. Go ahead. Anybody who wants to talk about this? I just saw a story that said many of these new AI data centers are being built in places where water is in crisis, like Arizona.
It's not just that. This has happened for the last, probably, let's see, how old are we? Where are we? I'm going to say since about 1998 to 2000, after that first bubble. The whole goal of all of these companies, funding these companies, is to put a lot of money in, scale it up super fast, and then sell or at profit somehow by owning the entire market, right? So, and you have to do it quickly. And that is what's happening here. And we've seen it, we saw it in the early web days. That crash happened, but bankruptcy erased all of that, like all of the capital needed there. We see it, and so they were allowed to flourish. We saw it with like Uber and all of these, like, what do they call it? The millennial lifestyle bonus. It's basically venture capitalists funded these companies, but they didn't have to make a profit for decades. And we're seeing this again. And I don't know how long and how many times and how many times we have to go through this cycle and end up poorer for it or without actual assets and all of these write-downs. And it's very confusing to me. I'm not I want to point out, I don't get it.
I am bullish on AI. I use AI all the time. I love AI. I don't use Google anymore. I use AI searches. I am wearing at all times this Bee AI device that's recording every conversation and then giving me a summary of my day at the end of the day. I find AI very useful. I've been doing AI coding with Claude Code. It's amazing. In fact, it's going to take some of the fun out of the coding challenges that I enjoy so much, because you just say, hey, solve this. They solve it. I'll probably still do it anyway, but I'm a fan. But it is the case that is also being oversold dramatically. This is from Bloomberg this week. Global data centers in AI in areas where high water stress. There's that graph at the top. Now, in the United States, there are 3.3 thousand. AI is draining water from the areas that need it the most. Nobody pays attention to how much this stuff is costing. Bloomberg is saying every time you do a query, every time you say thank you to an AI, you are causing these problems. Bloomberg found that about 2/3 of the new data centers being built or in development since 2022 are in places already gripped with high levels of water stress. Water, by the way, is used in these operations centers to cool the facilities. They need it. 26 data centers being built or planned in high water stress areas in Arizona, 17 in California, 26 in Texas, 23 in Illinois, 67 next door to you in Virginia. And these are problematic.
We'll throw out, there are very few places that are not water stressed today.
True. Why are they putting them in Arizona? What is it about Arizona? Tax breaks?
Tax breaks. And they have cheap land. And they have historically been willing. I mean, that's why all the semiconductor fabs went to Arizona, because they were like, Arizona's like, yeah, we'll totally get you all the clean water you need. They have a lot of infrastructure around this.
Yeah, they steal it from Colorado.
It's interesting, too, because one of the other sides of it is that there have been all these articles about AI data centers not having enough electricians. And if there's anything I know, it's occupational licensing reform and a lot of the problems here. And it's interesting, too, because I and other people who actually did the implementation of universal licensing recognition laws that allow people to like move to a state and have their license recognized. None of us thought through, like, hold up, a lot of jobs are city level licensing. It's not state level. And almost every state says, oh, if you're transferring a license from one state to another, and it doesn't account for cities. So I talked with a couple of friends in a couple of different states in government, like, wait a sec, am I reading this right? And also keeping your license in good standing, because a lot of them are traveling electricians. That could mean if you go to like Alaska to work on a data center for 3 months and you let the license lapse because you don't need to work in Alaska anymore, that license isn't in good standing. So if all your licenses aren't in good standing, then you can't keep working. But I'm excited because it's a fairly easy problem to solve that way. There's other stuff too. It's the way we train electricians doesn't always make a ton of sense, just like with a lot of stuff. We don't use enough apprenticeships. We don't give people enough opportunity that way. There's also problems that I'm not sure if it applies to electricians, but Pell Grants require a certain number of hours of training in order to say like this program's covered, but that can inflate it when you might only need like a smaller amount of hours. But I'm excited because like I love when licensing reform matters to people again. I'm like, yeah, I told you guys we need to do this.
It's harder to become an esthetician in California than it is to become a psychologist, a counselor. You know, all you have to do to be a counselor, you just hang up a shingle and say, yeah, come on in, I'll fix you up. But don't ever do somebody's nails without a license.
Oh my gosh. The whole structure there is wild. Utah's doing some cool stuff that way too. I follow beautician licensing very closely, and Utah is trying to break it apart in a way that like if you just want to do nails or just want to do hair, you can do that. It's crazy too. They didn't really they found that people weren't being trained to use lasers on people, like cosmetic lasers, but then they had to do 100 haircuts. Meanwhile, people who do surgeries only have to practice it like 5 times. And I'm like, maybe we like restructure this in a way that like you make sure you know how to use a laser so your first time isn't on the patient. Like, I think like I'm pretty reg reform, but that's reasonable.
Well, don't get me started because it really bugs me that you can create a supplement out of anything and sell it. And the FDA in no way regulates these supplements. But you know, they strictly regulate medications, but many times people are putting stuff in their mouth that is just either it's useless or worse, right? It could be worse. And there's no regulation at all. It really bugs the heck out of me. So sometimes regulation is a good thing.
It's funny. I'm a little squishy on the supplement stuff. I take so many supplements.
Well, I do too, but I wonder.
Yeah. But most of them, like the reviews help. The reviews really help there. Like people saying, oh, I vomited. I'm like, great. So I'm not going to do this one.
I go to the subreddit, the supplements subreddit. And, you know, one of the things people do on there is they go rate my stack where, I mean, they're taking fistfuls of things, you know, and you can make any claim you want on the label as long as you have a little asterisk that says, not proven scientifically, no claim is being made. You know, I mean, you can say anything you want, and people are taking all sorts of crazy. See, I think that getting back to this expensive AI, I live in this weird cognitive dissonance my whole career, where I'm promoting all of these technologies that are going to end up in a landfill, and at the same time feeling terribly guilty about it. And now every time I ask AI a question, like rate my supplement stack, I feel like I'm setting fire to a rainforest. We live in a difficult time. Should I just build a log cabin and move to the woods?
That's the solution that everybody wants they want you to feel disempowered here. So the issue, one of the issues here is you are an individual trying to address a problem designed for, like a collective action problem designed for the government. So we have to accept that there are some problems that we cannot as an individual take action for. So like figuring out that you personally should not be asking ChatGPT, like being like, oh, I should not ask this. This is not worth, killing a kookaburra or whatever, right? But having the government say, okay, here's some broad rules, or maybe it doesn't even need to be rules. Maybe it's like I'm going to say Energy Star program that's like, hey, I can rate how efficiently this company performs these queries. And if you start showing that level if you provide that transparency, people will get better. Just like for a hot second, we got better gasoline and fuel mileage in cars because we said, hey, you should track that.
So I could just forget about it because it's not my problem, it's government's problem, right?
Well, the answer is actually to advocate and say that you care about these things.
I do care about it. But
and vote for people who are doing
yesterday,
things like this,
we took my in-laws to lunch for Mother's Day. And don't have a lot to say to them. So I fired up ChatGPT on my phone, and I started turning my father-in-law into different things. Like first I made him a pope, and then I turned then Henry VIII, and then Charles, and then a superhero, and then at the Revolution, and then finally I ended up creating an image of the entire lunch as a Disney scene. Now, this was a great way to pass the time with my father-in-law. But I really think I probably did some real damage to the environment. And I'm feeling guilty about it. Maybe I need an AI therapist.
The truth is these models are getting better, and you'll probably be doing some of this locally in the future.
Okay.
Yes.
And which will help with the efficiency. And the chips also are becoming more power efficient over time as well. And it being what Stacey says, this is a bigger problem than one individual, even one company. But when you have a government that denies like climate change, or government that on the state level that incentivizes growth over resources because they want to get more wealth, most likely if we continue on this trajectory, we're going to just have to hit a brick wall and then pick ourselves up to get it fixed. And unfortunately, we're not all going to make it. It's going to cause some real hardship and struggles for people.
Wow, someone's even more of a downer than me. But yes, that is like there are all of computing. Let's think about it, right? Ever since we got into the massive era of computing, it's all been about processing and power, right? That trade-off in optimizing for power consumption. So we'll see that exact same thing because we used to be like,
there's certainly incentive, right? It's so expensive for these companies. If they're going to make money at it, they have to make it more efficient.
And eventually they are going to run out of resources and or piss everyone off. I mean, there's the testimonials from the people who are in, I guess, Tennessee, where Elon Musk has Grok data center. I mean,
Grok is using generators, gas powered generators.
What? That is so
they can't get enough electricity.
And I'm sure our tax dollars are somehow paying for that because we're funding so many things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, that is stupid.
But there is good news in the world.
Is there?
Tom Brady, Steph Curry, Gisele Bundchen, Kevin O'Leary, all off the hook for promoting cryptocurrency with FTX. They were being investigated, right, for their FTX ads. FTX, of course, collapsed in 2022, and its founder, Samuel Bankman-Fried, went to jail. But there was some liability. The celebrities, a group of FTX investors said that celebrities who endorsed FTX should have some liability. On Wednesday, U.S. District Judge K. Michael Moore found the plaintiffs failed to show the celebrities and YouTubers named in the lawsuit had sufficient knowledge of FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried to be held liable for promoting them. Tom Brady, the erstwhile quarterback, now TV commentator on the NFL, got $30 million for pitching the company. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is it was FTX stock and it's now worthless. His wife, Gisele Bundchen, $18 million, also in stock, now worthless.
I mean, it's fair. I mean, no one knew, generally speaking.
I guess not. If they'd asked me, actually, no, they did ask me, and I said no.
Yeah. I mean, if you look deeper, but you made that choice. I don't know how many individual people make their choices.
We've refused a lot of crypto ads. We used to get a lot of interest in that.
Tom Brady has a manager who assessed this deal and was like, yeah, everybody's in crypto. That seems good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Remember the Brad Pitt thing where he said like courage favors or
that was
Matt Damon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Courage favors the brave, or fortune favors the brave.
Yeah.
So invest in crypto and Bitcoin because, and some people have made a fortune on it.
I think it's the same what you were talking about, like these big AI companies rushing to build these data centers. and still losing money is that once you get big enough, you're too big to fail. And that's with individuals too. If you get famous enough, if you get rich enough, then you are protected. And
the WeWork guy has a new company and investors.
Amazing, isn't that?
I heard that the Theranos person's.
Elizabeth
Holmes' husband. She's in jail for the next many years.
I don't know if their husband.
Yeah.
Life.
Well, they have 2 babies anyway. Her baby daddy. No, I think they got married. Her husband is starting a new. He's raised $20 million for a startup. Guess what the startup does? It detects problems with your blood for health purposes, and
blood
it's a miracle. It only needs a little bit of blood.
Yeah, but is it instant? I mean, can you do it at Walgreens?
The point is that these people are able to come back to the well and raise even more money.
Oh, and this is like a feature. Yes. Like the fact that they've done this before. I mean, now, in fairness, this is actually something we've lauded for decades, which is in America, if you are an entrepreneur, it's so great for you because you can fail and then pick yourself back up and try again, and nobody hates you for it.
Right.
So, I mean, now, do I think we could take that too far? Yes. But I will say, in Europe, when people fail, it is it is prohibitive in ways that it isn't here, and that's not great for them.
So I've seen he is in some stories called her partner, in other stories her husband. So I don't know if Billy
how
Evans,
I'd like to be accurate.
Yeah,
that journalist in me.
it's unclear, but her 33-year-old partner and baby daddy has a new blood testing startup that promises human health optimization. And the New York Times published this very wide-eyed picture of the two of them sitting on a couch, not in prison. Maybe this was right before she went to jail. I don't know. A radically new approach to health testing, the future of diagnostics. It's called Hemanthus, which is also a flower known as the blood lily. So he's thinking they're going to start with testing pets for diseases before progressing to humans.
Who has a deeper voice, her or her husband?
I think they both talk like this. Anyway, let's take a break.
I can't falter for that.
No,
like people make fun of high-pitched speaking women all the time.
Exactly. Exactly.
It did work.
She was just trying to. Yeah, it worked. It sounded a little off. You have a nice deep voice, Stacey. You don't force it, though. You don't.
You'll never know.
Okay.
I could talk like this with my normal voice.
There is a certain amount of choice in that, right? I mean, it's somewhat culturally determined, right?
That's true.
I mean,
yeah.
I could talk like this. If it seemed like if the world thought that podcasters should sound like this, I could talk like this. I'd be happy to. All right.
You should go to ad.
I'm going to talk to the whole ad like this. Hey, boys and girls. This episode of This Week in Tech. All right, we'll be back with more in just a bit, but I'm going to go to my normal registry. This episode of This Week in Tech is brought to you by NetSuite. Hey, here's a question we ask all the time on the show. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts, you'll get 10 answers. Rates will rise, or no, maybe they're going to fall, or maybe inflation's up, or maybe it's down. I don't know. Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 41,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. And when you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backwards and more time on what's next. If I needed this product, it's what I'd use. Whether your company is earning millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you respond to immediate challenges and seize your biggest opportunities. Speaking of opportunity, download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/twit. The guide is free to all of you at netsuite.com/twit. netsuite.com/twit. All right. Is that a secret message you were holding up there, or what?
I was saying goodbye, bye, Stacey. I knew she had to cut off.
You're not leaving now, are you?
Oh no, it's 5 PT. So
okay. Right.
Don't try to get rid of her, Mr. Faulkner.
I'll stop talking if you need me to, though.
No. What was I gonna? Oh, well, as long as we're talking about this, I think you might have something to say about this, Shoshana. The FTC is now banning hidden fees for live events and short-term rentals, effective May 12th. This documentation detailing its new rule on unfair or deceptive fees prohibits hidden fees. You know the resort fee you get charged when you check out at the hotel? The resort fee is $35 a day. What? With those kinds of things. Short-term rentals, live events, also bait and switch pricing, or any action that conceals or misrepresents total prices and fees. This will impact businesses like Ticketmaster, hotels, motels, Airbnb, VRBO, Vrbo, third-party platforms, resellers, and travel agents also covered by the new regulation. Airbnb has already updated its service in advance of this new regulation. Now you see the total cost of the stay instead of getting charged the cleaning fee at the end, right? Good, right? This is good.
I don't know. It's funny. I just don't care that much. I mean, like, if you check out and you're like, oh, this is higher, you can just not do it. Like, it sucks a little bit, but we all kind of got used to it. So I feel like it's like when you're used to something happening, it's there. And I feel like the FTC probably has bigger fish to fry, but I could be wrong. I haven't been following this one that closely.
Well, before I get too excited, you win some, you lose some, because the FCC also proposed a rule to make it as easy to cancel subscriptions as it is to sign up for them. Now the FTC says, well, hold on there. They were going to enforce that May 14th. But now
June 14th, right?
May 14th. Now they're moving it to July 14th. The so-called negative option rule. And we've all experienced this where it's really easy to sign up for something and good luck figuring out how to get off the thing. And the rule was great because it said it should be exactly as it should be. If you could sign up online, you should be able to cancel online. Many places say, no, you have to call us if you want to cancel, right?
So you can, to fix that, you can change your address to California and then you will be able to click to cancel. But first,
really?
can I just say, I'm not going to disagree wholeheartedly with Shoshana, but I will say the reason it is important to have the fees disclosed up front isn't because you'll be sad when you check out and you have the fees. It's because it makes it hard to compare easily across sites. Like if you're trying to book travel, that is
absolutely.
And it makes it harder for search aggregation, anything like that. So that is why I like, because Consumer Reports.
This doesn't affect restaurants, but it's something I don't know.
I know it totally should.
It should. I don't know if they're doing this in the rest of the country, but here you go out to eat, and at the bottom it says 6% fee for quality of life improvements, 4% fee for the city requiring us minimum wage payments, and they add all this stuff at the end.
Yes,
and I'm not going to take it off the tip because that's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because I live on an island with like 23 restaurants, my summer project is actually to call all the restaurants and find out what their fee is and then publish that because I'm so aggravated. And
is that a lot of restaurants or not a lot for an island?
I mean,
guess it
we've
depends
got
on the island.
25,000
wouldn't
people.
be enough. Oh, 25,000 people. Yeah.
They're all basic. It's sad.
I wonder what the normal restaurants
per capita restaurant.
Like
if you
every town should have a restaurant for every 100 people or something. I don't know what tonight we forgot to make Mother's Day reservations. And I know that there will be no restaurant in town that I can get into tonight.
I thought you only took your mom out to brunch on Mother's Day. Do you take them out to dinner too?
There are many moms in my life.
Okay. No, I'm like, oh.
I made bagels for my mother-in-law. That way I don't have to worry about it. My mom is in an old age home in Rhode Island, and I can't even get a hold of her because she's forgotten how the phone works. So I just leave her messages and hope someday she sees them. The mother of my children, I already wished her a happy Mother's Day, but I wanted to take Lisa out to dinner, but her son came up right before the show and said, "Hey mom, I want to take you out to dinner for Mother's Day." He's 22. And she said, "Well, it would have been nice if you made a reservation a little earlier. We can't." So I'm going to say 23 restaurants per island is good.
I was just going to say, maybe since 23andMe is going out of business, maybe that's the good domain name. Maybe talk to Andrew and see if you could get that for your little site saying these are the fees for the restaurants.
You can't buy the spit, but at least you could buy the name.
Yeah. I could take the data too. I could do some real fun things. No, I'm just going to post it on Reddit. I'm not going to do anything super fancy.
Where on Reddit do you post that kind of thing? Is there a
There's an R Bainbridge Island, baby.
/R Bainbridge. Yeah.
Hi, this is Benito. So regarding those fees and things like that, Americans are so blind to this stuff because, in other countries, sales tax is included in the price on the label. Here, you always have to calculate that stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. We have to do it.
And it's terrible now because there's tariff surcharges, there's egg surcharges, and they're not going to go away even if we don't have, even if egg prices do come down or tariffs don't happen to the extent that they're happening.
Well,
as a business traveler, sorry, go Shoshana.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, super related to that. It's like, so we're supposed to have the full price, but then if Amazon wants to say here's the tariffs, surcharge that's going to end up in here, then they're punished for it. One thing I just hate is when there's no parity across laws, when it doesn't apply to restaurants or various situations. It's okay, is this thing a problem or not? Because if it is, it should apply everywhere. If it's not, it shouldn't. I get mad about it. I'm very big on regulatory parity, that if there's a principle, it should be applied and it should make sense. And if there's a reason that it's not good for restaurants but better for other places, I'm open to that too. But I get angry when I'm no, I think the government might just be targeting like hotels because it's pissed off at them rather than restaurants because they're not pissed off at them. And I hate that. I'm just do one thing,
I also, Stacey, have learned that you are well below the number of restaurants you should have on Bainbridge Island. The average number of people per restaurant in the United States is 330, according to AI, which never lies.
Yeah.
But that includes Bob's Big Boy and McDonald's. I mean, it's not just nice restaurants.
So I think I might be undercounting a little bit because I'm realizing that I totally forgot that we actually have a Subway on the island because I never eat at Subway.
Yeah, you got to include that. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have an inordinate number of, Thai food places, pizza places.
I think by the way, this is what AI is good for if it's accurate. And it says, okay, there's 333 million people in the U.S. There are approximately 1 million restaurants, so that would be 333. I mean, approximately 1 million restaurants is kind of vague. The ratio has been decreasing over the years as the number of restaurants has grown faster than the population. The actual ratio varies by region and city density. Urban areas, obviously, and tourist destinations have a much higher restaurant density, sometimes exceeding 1 restaurant per 1,000 people. Well, that's the opposite. Or even, see, there you go. AI screwed it up.
You can't have it do math, man.
It's a broad national average. Anyway. And we also mentioned, as long as we're talking about 23andMe, I don't know if the domain name is available for Stacey, but the good news is they are going to have a privacy advocate. The court is going to approve a data privacy ombudsman who will review the sale of the genetic data as part of the company's bankruptcy proceedings. Very good news. I already deleted my spit, but
So that's common in bankruptcy cases that have this access. So it's not like a special thing. It's special in the fact that they
have a lot of data.
It's common to do it.
Yeah.
The FTC did. Andrew Ferguson. No, is that my governor? Is Andrew Ferguson? That's the FTC commissioner. Yes. Sorry. I was like, my governor is Bob Ferguson. So I'm
all the Fergusons. Yeah.
He did put out a letter saying, hey, you have obligations that you said you were going to adhere to, and you better adhere to them. And the buyer had better adhere to those as well.
Good.
But those ombudsmen that are appointed by the court, historically, they have not been awesome advocates for
it's not a guarantee that they won't sell the data along with the company, right? The job of the advocate is to file a report on whether a sale of genetic data complies with federal law and is in the interest of customers. Obviously, it's not in the interest of customers, but
maybe they'll sell it to Palantir, and then
all of
our dystopian fantasies will come true.
Oh my God. You know, you have 3% Dominican Republic blood. We're going to deport you. Jeez Louise. So we got one. We won one, hidden fees for live events. We lost one. Well, maybe not lost it, but they're going to put off that click to cancel. Probably the industry came to them and said, we can't do it. We can't. It's too hard.
They already do it in California.
Well, you know, Comcast actually literally said, in response to this regulation, everybody would cancel their cable subscription if we're too easy. They literally said that.
They wouldn't cancel their cable connection. I mean, what else are they going to use? Starlink? I mean, it's not
over the top. You're talking about over the top.
I was thinking broadband. Of course, they're going to cancel.
Nobody wants cable.
I mean,
Comcast lost 1.5 million customers last year.
Yeah, well, they're making up for it. They've managed to bring up the price of their broadband alone,
of course,
to the price of the triple
of course,
as it was. So you know, they've had plenty of time to adjust.
They've known this was going to happen. They've known for years.
But it's wild because, like, as they're losing all these customers, they I was paying something absurd, like several $100s a month just for internet and cable, and I'm like, I went to cancel cable, and they were like, oh, we can bring it down to what it was before. I'm like, no, it was already creeping up. And I went into to like UPS to mail the thing back, and they're like, oh yeah, everyone's canceling. I'm like, I don't understand why they would keep raising prices while like everyone's like on the edge of canceling.
There are a lot of people who just sit in, who don't think about that. So, but you're right.
Well, Shoshana, you didn't think about it until it got so high. You finally said enough.
Well, but there's a reason.
It creeps up slowly and you don't even notice. And then suddenly you're paying $200.
It was because of Shabbat, because like cable will stay on. But now I figured out how to use Alexa to every 3 hours return on the TV, like to double check to make sure it has stayed on, because Hulu will time out. Like that's just the thing that happens. But since I have Hulu Live, now I can program it to change channels. Like Bob's Burgers at this time and then TCM at this time. So it's better, but I like had to like work a lot to get it there. And also like Hulu doesn't recognize.
Wait a minute. You're going to have to explain this.
Yeah.
We were just talking about wallpaper music. Do you have your TV on all the time?
Kinda, yeah. I need background images and noise. Like it helps.
And it's always on Bob's Burgers?
So it's mostly almost entirely FXX or TCM. There's very little anything else.
TCM, I could see.
Yeah.
In fact, it's interesting because I think I subscribe to something called the Criterion Channel, which is a bunch of great old movies and stuff. And I think they finally realized people don't like looking through the catalog to find something. So in the subscription, they have a channel that's just showing movies all the time. And I think people just go to it and leave it on.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do on Shabbat. And then I record.
Well, you can't because you can't touch the TV during Shabbat.
Right, exactly. I could program individual movies to start playing at different intervals, but that becomes like a huge pain. So leaving on, and they've been bad about their programming on Shabbat. Like they used to have like great movies on Saturdays, but now
they knew that there would be a lot of Jewish people watching.
I think I'm like one of like very few who would do this, who like sees it fit in the law to follow it this way. I think it's fully legit, honestly. But like we leave on lights, like some people can leave on radio. I see no difference with TV. I think it's the same thing.
Do you sleep with it on?
Yeah, I shouldn't, but my brain won't stop. So,
and you can't change the channel, right?
Right.
She can't touch it.
But I can program it ahead of time with Alexa.
Right. That's totally legit. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I volunteered some episodes ago to be here Shabbos Goy, but she never took me up on that.
I used to do that for a friend of mine.
Did you really? They said, come over, my refrigerator's needs you need to turn off my...
I lived down the street from him when I lived in New York. And so, yes, I would come over, I would stop by on my way home from work and just be like, hey, anything needing? Did you forget anything?
Can I turn anything on for you, off, whatever you need?
Yeah. And then I would wander off. So...
But yeah, cable had me because it was easier on cable because cable wouldn't time out. But I'm like, you know what? The timeouts are worth it.
That's interesting. So the streaming channels, I've noticed that. The streaming channels, like Netflix will say, hey, are you still watching?
Well, I got rid of that. I figured out how to get rid of that. But they'll like they'll just crash. Apparently Hulu doesn't work great with Fire TVs. It's something I learned.
Oh, they have a memory leak in their app or something and it just eats up memory and yeah. What am I watching on Hulu? Oh, I was watching. I know what I was watching. Dan Morin, who is a podcaster, a science fiction author, and he's been a regular on our shows. He also writes for the
Jeopardy.
He was on Jeopardy. He also writes for Six Colors, and he was. No spoilers. He was on Wednesday, and he couldn't say. You're not allowed to say how you did, but he could say, "I'm going to be on Wednesday." So I watched Wednesday. Let's put it this way. I also watched Thursday. I also watched Friday. Congratulations, Dan. Well done. Very, very nice to see one of ours. Except it's sad because Ken Jennings, the host, asked him about his books and he said, yeah, I write books. He didn't mention the titles. It's like, dude, maybe does he think there's a rule on Jeopardy? You're not allowed to plug might be they won't let him plug it. It's too bad. He didn't plug the podcast names. He talked about the podcast, but didn't mention the names either. I bet you they don't let you do that. Bill Gates says, I'm going to give it all away. My new deadline, 20 years to give away virtually all my wealth, more than $100 billion so far in the Gates Foundation. The first 25 years, he says, in the next 20, we're going to give away $200 billion. We're going to double our giving.
It's happy and sad at the same time.
Yeah. He's even made a little graph. just so you know, his net worth today is $108 billion. It looks like he used a crayon to color under the line. This is like a handwritten crayon underneath it.
Can't afford it anymore.
That's the trajectory of the hurricane.
It's just like it's going to hit Georgia any minute now. So he's going to be out of money in 2045. He also said he wasn't going to give his kids any of it. And then he kind of backed down. He gave his daughter a horse ranch and stuff. But anyway, good for him.
The reason why he's doing it is because there's a deficit in what the United States and
because we stopped paying U.S. aid. He was very upset. He says 1 million kids will die next year because we cut off funding for vaccines and other health measures across the world. So part of it is because that's one of the things he's very focused on. And so but you can't, but this, by the way, really important, as wonderful as it is to have personal charity, especially if you're that wealthy, it pales compared to the amount of money governments can spend. It's not sufficient.
And many really wealthy people do not spend on the things that governments
That's true too.
will spend on.
Yeah. Fortunately, Gates is really focused on childhood health and childhood illnesses with his funds. He says the two groups, Gavi and the Global Fund, have transformed the way the world procures and delivers life-saving tools like vaccines and antiretrovirals. Together, they've saved more than 80 million lives. How many libraries did Andrew Carnegie build? 80 million lives saved.
I mean, at the time, libraries were kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no, they still are.
We didn't have global health.
They still are. Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk about the Sacklers and like their college.
I wonder what they're doing with their ill-gotten gains. Mexico is suing Google over the Gulf of America name. The president of Mexico said the name change should only apply to the U.S. part of the Gulf. They want the Mexico part back. Are you taking up drinking now, Stacey, because of this? Is this my fault? The president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, said the lawsuit has already been filed. She argues the Trump administration's order for a name change only applies to the U.S. portion of the Gulf, and the government doesn't have the authority to rename the whole thing. Google's renamed, as you know, as I don't know if Apple's done it yet, but when you open Maps going back to February, you looked at the Gulf of Mexico, it was renamed to the Gulf of America, as the president wanted. Do they still call it Denali? And are you going to hike Denali or are you going to hike Mount McKinley?
I'm going to hike neither for myself because that's how I die. Like that's 100% how I die.
That would be the end, wouldn't it?
I don't know my limits very well, but I know that's a limit. So.
That's a limit. Okay.
Big mountain.
Okay.
They, I think most people call it Denali if you're in Alaska and up here.
Alaska, they still want to call it Denali. I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think last time I heard Mount McKinley was, I guess, when Trump was renaming it. And then also when I was like a kid.
It does have an old-fashioned ring to it. You're watching This Week in Tech with our wonderful panelist, Stacey Higginbotham, who's now at Consumer Reports as a policy fellow. It's wonderful. Congratulations on your success there. You're doing a great job. Thank you. We appreciate it. You get the wooden letters.
Oh, yes.
For a long time, we have another regular on the show from Consumer Reports, and Nicholas De Leon, for the longest time, didn't have the letters. And I said, "Where's your letters?" And they finally sent him the letters. So now he has the letters. So there you go.
Yeah, I think it was a COVID thing. Everybody got letters.
Yeah, because we figure you're going to be operating out of the house. Yeah, it's nice to see you again.
I had to handcraft mine in a 3D printer. But no, I'm just kidding.
No, they sent you that, right?
They did. I did have to ask.
Yeah. You had to ask. Where's my letters?
I was like, hey, I do a lot of interviews. Could I have some letters?
Yeah. No letters, although you could have a big R, I think, Shoshana, behind you instead of a marmot. Would be good. It'd be work for R Street. I mean, it's the letter R. We're brought to you by the letter R. That's perfect. Be simple.
I like the marmot. It's more simple. It's pure.
It's pure. The marmot is pure and it's looking right at me. Is it one of those marmot pictures where the eyes follow you as you move around?
Oh, I love that. I should get one of those for my apartment. This is where my money goes, though. Like
the marmot is pure of thought, pure of deed. Also, Wesley Faulkner. Great to have you. Oh, he was looking off to the side. Wesley 83. Hey, over here. Over here, Wesley.
There was a marmot next to me.
What's that doing over there? It's great to have all three of you. Our show today brought to you by Shopify. I have a soft spot in my heart for Shopify because that is how Salt Hank, my son, sells his pickles and his salts. It really made it possible for him to be a small business with a web presence. Imagine you're lying in bed late at night. You're scrolling through the new site you found. I do this all the time. You hit the add to cart button. Oh, I gotta get those 3D designed shoes. Now you're ready to check out, but then you remember your wallet is in the living room downstairs. Just as you're getting ready to abandon the cart, that's when you see it. The purple shop button, and you go, whew, no trip downstairs for me. If you've shopped online, chances are almost certainly you've bought from a business powered by Shopify. You see that purple shop pay button at checkout, and it makes it just so incredibly easy. There's a reason so many businesses sell with it. because Shopify makes it incredibly easy to start and run your business. I love that sound. Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Household names, Mattel, Gymshark, to brands just getting started. Actually, both my kids have Shopify stores. My daughter sells T-shirts she designed, and Salt Hank sells salts. And yes, in fact, I can go there. I'll show you. He has that big purple Shopify button at the Salt Lovers Club. Let's just go shopping at the Salt Lovers Club for the best pickles and seasonings in the world. And let's say I want to buy this, and then I add it to the cart. And what do I see? I see the big Shopify button. Shop Pay. I love it. So you should love it too. Shopify gives you that leg up from day one with hundreds of beautiful, ready-to-go templates to express your brand, your style. Forget about the code. Actually, I was very impressed when I saw his site, and he said, well, yeah, I did it with Shopify. It's pretty amazing. Tackle all those important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. Spread your brand's word with built-in marketing and email tools to find and keep new customers. And did I mention that iconic purple Shop Pay button used by millions of businesses around the world? It's why Shopify has the best, by the way, this is important. Henry confirms this with me, best converting checkout on the planet, right? And conversions are what matters. Your customers already love it. You're going to love it too. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial. Start selling today. Shopify.com/twit. Go to Shopify.com/twit. Shopify.com/twit. Yay. Oh, I just put a bunch of pickles. Oh, well. I'll eat them. Thank you, Salt Hank. Thank you, Shopify. Let's see. What else? I was going to say good news, but that's not good news. Is it good news? Switzerland's going to have a referendum on electronic ID. It actually failed once. Back in the day when Estonia arranged a global international electronic ID, I have an Estonian ID card. The Swiss are set to vote on the introduction of EID. The petition, they were going to do it, and there was a petition circulated saying no, 55,000 signatures that forced a referendum. What is the argument against EID?
This is something I actually know a little bit about. I've gotten into this space from age verification. Like, that's kind of where I started to dive into this. And I'm not even the best person. There's this guy who runs the Better Identity Coalition who knows like all arguments on all sides of it. But like, there is a real tracking problem. Like, how do you know for sure that the government isn't using their app to track you? Our DMV sells our data. They sell less of our data than they used to because someone got killed because of it, but they still sell our data. And it's like, just hoping they're not gonna mess around when there's really not that much oversight is a real concern.
The DMV should not be selling our data.
Oh, I know. And of course, Ron Wyden's on it because he's perfect and like always on this kind of stuff. Yeah. But there's some real issues here. The ACLU has this fantastic explainer on like, if you're gonna do a virtual ID, here's everything that you should consider and everything you should know and everything you should take into account. And it's really, really good stuff. This guy, Jay, over there is really fantastic. And he's taught me a lot about the way to consider it. And one of the principles is you should always allow physical ID for people who don't feel comfortable having virtual ID. Okay. And I think that's a really good principle there, you know?
In fact, when I got my Estonian EID, I did get a card. It was a chipped card, though. So it had information in the chip, I guess, or it was electronically confirmable.
Chips are good. You know, they're more secure. So I like that overall.
Yeah. In Switzerland, it is also the problem, the issue of personal data protection and private management of electronic identities. They actually tried to do this in 2021. It was swept away. The government now is back trying to establish an EID. I think you're right. I think in the United States, it would be very controversial.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because it's far, not even far left, but moderate to like far further left liberals tend to be concerned about privacy. MAGA people tend to be concerned about privacy, but they also want to check to make sure everyone's a citizen all the time, which you can't really have both sides of that with the identification argument. But it's really interesting stuff, because I think that there's some legitimate uses for this, but we also want to be careful. And this is something that I'm concerned about. Like every company saying, we need your ID. And that's something that I could see happening that really does freak me out, making sure they have access to it in every circumstance. And we have a lot of policy from age verification for different sites pushing for this kind of stuff. Plus, Louisiana's was hacked. I mean, it wasn't hacked that bad. Yeah. Their ID had a breach through their vendor. So I'm like, how about we like get our cybersecurity in order first, and then like we go that way? But we're not gonna. So
Yeah.
And I also had one of those Estonian IDs, and if you did as well, you probably heard that there was a security flaw.
The first card we got.
Yeah, and so those weren't perfect either. So there's always a flaw, and when everything links together, there is more exposure.
Of course, right now we're in a little tizzy over Real ID, because you now have to have a Real ID as of May 7th to get on domestic flights to access federal facilities. And lots of people don't. So if your driver's license isn't Real ID, you may get challenged getting on an airplane. Although the government has said, we'll let you slide, because it's one of those things where people are. I don't have one. I have a ticket for this flight, and in theory, you shouldn't be able to get on the flight. In
theory, we shouldn't have TikTok.
Yeah, in theory, we shouldn't have TikTok. That's right. What was the point of Real ID, Shoshana? How is this different from the driver's license that I had?
It was more secure. I keep forgetting. I keep learning about it and forgetting. Identity policy is a huge mess too.
It is.
The government doesn't talk to itself when there's reasons to do so. I know I've talked about this on the show before, but like the IRS has like, I forgot how many. I think it's over 100,000 cases annually of kids' identities being used for tax fraud. And instead of telling the parents, they just tell no one. And I'm sure sometimes it's hard to verify the parent. That's fine. But they don't even attempt to. And they also stop telling people when they're deceased loved ones, who they know for sure they're deceased loved ones, because literally it says in the IG report from like 2020, because it made them sad. So the government refuses to like tell people about basic stuff. The SSA will not communicate with the IRS to give them enough information so that they can like tell the relevant people to to make sure. And I'm just, it's such a mess. Our whole identity policy is a mess. And the SSA is also like, they don't want to be the guardians of identity, but they are. Like, there's a real element there. And I agree with them. Social security numbers shouldn't be used that way. But if they are, they should probably try to make it as safe and reasonable as they can. But instead, they're like, not us, man, not us, hot potato.
Yeah. This was passed, the law was passed in 2005 in the wake of 9/11. And it's taken us 20 years to get, they put it off, but the deadline was Wednesday. And the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, are in theory now enforcing Real ID. Your driver's license, if you have a Real ID, will have a star or some other marking. In California, we have a golden bear on our Real ID.
We have a tree.
Oh, that's nice. Is it golden?
We actually, technically, we have an American flag because we are enhanced driver's license that gets you into Canada, which is a completely related. It's Real ID compliant, but it's different.
I remember when I renewed my license, of course, I wanted to get a Real ID because I travel. And by the way, you can use a passport. A global entry card will work as well. But the idea was that there is a higher standard of proof of identity. So you really are who you say. It's kind of in a way like a government identity program without all the benefits of electronic ID. And so I think I had to bring in my utility bill or something. As it wasn't super stringent, but
I couldn't get one.
Really?
When I first moved to Washington State, because the bills that we didn't set up billing in my name for anything that we had on hand.
Yeah.
That matched so that we had my husband's name, but we didn't have our marriage certificate.
Right.
So I had to wait like a year until I started receiving bills under my name. It was a pain.
Apparently there weren't a lot of slowdowns at the airports. I thought maybe this would be like a nightmare week to fly, but apparently most people got Real ID. TSA says about 81% of travelers now have Real ID, and they're allowing people without it at this point, at least for a while, to go through a higher security check to get onto the airplane. But bring your passport if you don't have a Real ID, and if you don't have a passport, I would go out and get a Real ID pretty quickly, because it's not going to be forever that they're not going to let you on the plane.
I wonder what the additional screening is. Like, what are they doing? If it's about identity,
they pat you down. I don't know. They call your mom. I don't know.
Are they going through your phone?
I thought the law was passed because of September 11 hijackers, and it's basically making sure that you are who you say you are.
Which, as Shoshana said, this is a big issue.
Yeah.
And for businesses, I mean, a lot of what we talk about these days is authentication. That's what the whole password thing is about. Proving you are who you say you are. Yeah.
Yeah, but what additional verification of your identity are they doing at the airport?
If I told you, I'd have to kill you. I don't know.
I wonder if you had to bring your birth certificate. Oh, like for now, you probably just got an extra pat down, and they just assumed that if you're going to make trouble.
Okay, so security theater.
Yeah, but I don't know how long that'll last, right? And there's got to be a little bit of a grace period. Literally,
we still have to take our shoes off, Leo. We still have to take our shoes off, Leo.
There's been a grace period. We've known about this for over a decade. I mean,
20 years this has been going on. It's pretty amazing. It actually happened. I was kind of stunned. It had been put off for so long. Well, one thing we can't put off, it's Mother's Day. So if the TSA isn't calling your mother, maybe you should. It maybe it's too late to send her chocolates or a bagel, but do something nice for mom. And of course, Stacey's a mom. So we're going to say, have a wonderful evening and some wonderful entertainment. And I hope you get some lovely kisses and gifts. Stacey Higginbotham. So nice to have you, policy fellow at, I see we got you out in plenty of time. Policy fellow at Consumer Reports at Giga Stacey. No, you're not still at Giga Stacey. You changed that, didn't you?
Oh, I'm at Giga Stacey on Blue Sky.
Oh.
I just kept everything.
Why not? Back from the Giga Ohm days.
It's an homage to Giga Ohm.
Yeah. So nice to see you, Stacey. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Wesley Faulkner, same to you, buddy. Always nice to talk to you. Anything you want to plug?
Yes, absolutely. I just had a conversation earlier in the week with a guy named Jeff Atwood. He is one of the co-founders of Stack Overflow. And just similar to Bill Gates, he's interested in how to make the world a little bit better. And so I told him I would be on the show, and I asked him if he wanted me to plug anything, and he said plug his handle on Mastodon. So he's coding horror on the
I follow him.
It's infosec.exchange is his server. So follow him. He has something by the way that he's going to announce.
Say it clearly, horror, not
horror.
Yeah, because it sounded like something else.
Okay,
coding,
not hoarder. He doesn't
horror. I do follow him. I followed him for a long time because I love his blog, Coding Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. If you don't say it right, it sounds like he's a slut for coding. And I don't.
Yes.
While it's true, I don't think that's the intent of the handle.
I thought that's what it was. I was like, oh, I love that. That's great.
No, he's been talking about something like Stay Gold. And if you are familiar with it, there's a big announcement coming up. And I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to go ahead of
Stay Gold.
But it's about how we as a community can support each other. And he's building a coalition. I'll just say that for like-minded, community-focused people, and everything he's done has been community-focused, like Stack Overflow, Discourse. Like if
he founded Discourse, which we use as our forum at twit.community, and and I follow him on twit.social, our Mastodon. I think Jeff's great. I've always liked him. So give him my regards.
Yeah, and follow him. And if you're listening to this and you don't follow him already, please follow him. And once there is news, please send him a message saying that how you would like to get involved.
Okay, so something's coming up, something good from Jeff Atwood. At coding HORROR. Horror, like a horror movie. Okay. Yes. Although he looks like it could be horrible. It's horrifying, terrifying. What a great image. I love it. Nice to see you, Jeff. Let him know we can be have him on the show. We'd love to have him on the show sometime.
I'll tell him.
He's kind of a legend. Stay Gold, America. Oh yeah, it's right there. Here it is. Here's his post announcing it. Okay. This is all the stuff we've been talking about. That's great. Thank you, Wesley. So nice to see you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you also to Shoshana Weissman, rstreet.org. We've referred to your age verification article many, many times. You wrote that a couple of years ago, but it's still up on R Street, right?
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually adding 2 more pieces to it in the near future too. And then some more after I finish some more research. But lawmakers don't want to acknowledge that children don't have ID cards. So I'm going to have to yell at them for it because
somehow we got to figure that out. Somehow.
It's stressful, but it's fun. I have a piece on encryption coming out somewhere at some time, but basically how let's not keep creating backdoors because we should learn that lesson over and over again, The
fundamental problems with social media age verification legislation, you should read it. What is the book you're holding, by the way? I've wanted to ask you this for years.
It's the Federalist Papers.
So, my God. That's the first edition.
Yeah. So at the Federalist Society conference, I think it was 2019, one of their donors was like, do you want to come hold the Federalist Papers? So everyone came and took pictures with the Federalist Papers.
Wow.
And I had just met a friend who I knew through the internet, and he took a picture of me, and it's my favorite picture. So I should probably have something more recent up, but I
love
need to
it.
Go back to that donor and find them and be like, can I hold the Federalist Papers for my new headshot?
Well, we were talking about Alexander Hamilton just a little while ago. He wrote really almost all of them. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Thank you, Shoshana. I really appreciate you being here. A special thanks to all our Club Twit members who make our shows possible. You guys pay for the shirts. No, you don't. I don't take any of the money, but it does support what we do here. In fact, 25% of our revenue comes from Club Twit. If you're not a member of Club Twit, I beg you, consider it. I know money's tight right now, but it's only $7 a month. You get so many benefits. Not only ad-free versions of all the shows, because I hate it when they charge you for something and then they still show you ads. So no ads unless you want to. But you also get access to the Club Twit Discord, which is a great hang, really full of smart, interesting people, not just during the shows, but all the time, talking about the things we geeks care a lot about. Scooter X says he's waiting for the Federalist Papers to be made into a movie, by the way, Shoshana. Join us in the club, $7 a month, $84 a year. We have some special events coming up. One of the things we've done, because we keep getting takedowns from Apple when we stream their live events, we've decided to take them inside the Discord and make it only available to Club Twit members so that Apple can't complain. So all of the big keynotes, and there's quite a few coming up. Microsoft Build's keynote is May 19th. The Google I/O keynote, May 20th. We will be doing those in the club, as well as WWDC on June 9th. And this Friday, a little something called Stacey's Book Club. Very excited. By the way, Stacey loved this book.
Ooh,
the word for world is forest. Ursula K. Le Guin. I'm ashamed to admit this. I've never read anything else of hers, and now I want to read it all. It was a wonderful book. We'll be talking about that on May 16th. That's this Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. But you got to be in the club. So join the club, join our book club, join our AI users group. We're going to have a hangout next week with Dick T. Bartolo to celebrate his 2000th GizWiz. There's lots of stuff happening in the club. It's a club you want to join. Please do. Twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks in advance, and a special thanks to all our Club Twit members. We do This Week in Tech every Sunday afternoon, 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific. That's 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. We stream it live on 8 different platforms. In the club, of course, it's on the Discord, but also YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Kick. Pick a channel, watch. I'm watching the chat from all of them. So we get our input from you, and we appreciate that. Of course, most people don't watch live. They watch after the fact. And if you can, you should go to our website, twit.tv, and download an audio or video of this show and all the other 1,030 other shows that we've done over the last 20 years. You can also go to a YouTube channel dedicated to This Week in Tech. All our shows have their own YouTube channel. Great way to share with others things you see on the show. Share the information about the show. It helps us, promotes it. And of course, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast player too. It is a podcast after all. And if you do subscribe in Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts or Overcast or whatever podcast app you use, do us a favor. Leave us a good review, will you? 5 stars, 3 stars, whatever it is the maximum is. That helps us spread the word as well, and we appreciate that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. And as I've said for 20 years, now in our 21st year, another Twit is in the can. Take care. For quick tech insights, dive into Twit's short-form lineup. From hands-on Mac, you can get helpful tips, great apps, and awesome accessories for your Mac, iPad, and iPhone. Hands-on Windows offers essential advice and everything new in Windows. Hands-on Tech zooms in on a specific theme with easy-to-follow advice that turns tech troubles into triumphs. Home Theater Geeks with Scott Wilkinson supercharges all things home entertainment. And if you like watching the shows, join Club Twit and you'll get full video access too, plus ad-free versions and more. Get informed fast with all of Twit.tv's short-form shows. Download and subscribe today on your favorite podcast player.
This is amazing.